We are live, trying to figure out where Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania is.
Yeah, so
Home of a
I
random wedding.
a friend of mine from my college days,
Ah,
or working in the comic book shop days, is getting married, and it got the invite. So last minute logistics with another buddy of mine. There's like four of us who are like a core group of friends from my college days,
right.
though none of the four went to the same college. We're all connected together because of the comic shop Amazing Tales. So
You're
that's
all
where
college age
we're all
buying
college
your
age,
comics.
buying comics, and basically, two of them are childhood friends, and then one of them, again, comic book shop friend that after we would buy our comics, we would just go to someplace local to eat and just
Ah,
continue. And the friendship, most of it lasted since
right.
1993. But again, it was one of those things where we would lose touch every once in a while, and I kept in touch with at least one of them, if not two, the ones that were the childhood friends. And then the guy who's getting married disappeared, went off. And then we were friends on like MySpace, Friendsters, and then eventually find him on Facebook of all places. 10 years ago, we kind of reconnected.
That
It,
was pre-social media days. That's what always happened. If
yeah,
somebody you worked with or somebody you knew from the comic shop moved away, you just never heard from them again.
yes,
It was just that was normal. That was like,
com-
oh,
completely normal.
people would just disappear.
What's funny talking about the comic book shop? There was someone who I met at the comic book shop. Was friends. Hey, Lefty Blues, welcome, 62
He's
Lefty
the
Blues.
first one in.
He's the
Hello
first
there.
one. Hell, hello. One of those guys. His name is Jeff, and it was like ran into him. I mean, not run into him. Talked to him. Was only a comic book shop friend. Comic Crack is here. Number two.
Second, Tick
And
Goblin.
Tick off.
Third, now that those assholes are
They're
here.
all here.
Yeah, we don't have Paolo tonight. He's
No,
out at his family party.
and so this guy Jeff, it's like I only knew him from the comic book shop. That's the only interaction I had with him was at the comic book shop. And then, a good 20 years later, I start going to another shop in Westchester, and he comes in, and it's like that guy looks familiar. And it turns out it's like, oh, and I had to ask. I took about 3 weeks before I was like, hey, did you used to shop at this place? And he goes, "Yeah." It's like, "Oh, okay, we knew each other back then." So it's funny that sometimes you'll see someone and you can't place where he's at. Is like that's because you haven't seen him in 20 or more years, and it turns out, as we always talk about, how the comic industry is small. So here's someone that still enjoys reading comics,
Right.
never seen him again because we all go our different lives and stuff like that, and then end up running into him because he's still collecting comics.
Cool. Well, I got to calm down because I just got all wound up before the show
Oh, okay.
because at the school I work at, if you want a promotion, you have to apply for it.
Okay.
Okay, I've not been in academia that long, so this is all new to me. So you got to write things, you got to get samples of your work and so all sorts of stuff, and it has to go before some committee. I don't know what's going on. It's kind of a Byzantine process. It's a little weird and opaque, and I had this list of things I had to get on. They sent me a PDF of it, and there's also like I have to go to a website and upload stuff to the website kind of thing. But the two things aren't yet. You need this for this and this for that. And I think then you have to get recommendations, which is really weird to me. So I needed 3 recommendations from people that I have to apply with. And then I went to the website and it's like, I'm not sure, but I might need 6 recommendations now. And I was just like, what? Where did that come from? But but I just find the whole process is really strange, and it's weird having to get recommendations for a promotion. Shouldn't it's like in a regular job, you get a promotion or not because your boss likes you or not.
Right. I do find that I can't say the word odd only because of my little but long time trying to work in education and the hoops that they make you jump through and just to like so you just mentioned to me in order for you to get a promotion you have to apply for it.
Right.
Were you aware of this?
Nope. Not
Yes.
really.
I so dislike that
Not when I took the
mentality of
job.
yeah, like, you're not aware of this type of thing, and it's like, "Well, I was never told." Like, when I joined Marvel, I never got the handbook.
No.
Yeah,
Well, I
I
got
never got the
nothing, I
handbook.
was
I didn't even know certain things were, like, available. My position at the time that you get 2 15-minute breaks,
mhm,
um, and whatever the time was for lunch. So I was aware of the time we had for lunch,
right.
but I wasn't aware about the 2 15-minute breaks that was part of my job and because of the position that I had. Because I don't know if you recall that sometimes I'll be on the phone at reception.
Mhm,
That was because of the reception it would also get 2 15-minute breaks, and I was one of the persons as part of my job was to sit in reception
they're like, "Hey,
during
you."
during her break. That was again part of the job.
Yeah.
And that was fun in itself because you'll be sitting there, people will come by, it's like, "What are you doing here?" It's like, "It is part of my job," kind of a thing. But again, it's like these little things that I wasn't aware of it when I interviewed for it. And there was like so many things like I wanted to have a copy of the handbook, never got it. Uh I never got business cards,
Mhm,
where I think I should have gotten business cards because I went to conventions and I would
right.
talk to artists who talked about the art, and I
Certainly,
went
the
to
artist would want a business card from the art returns guy, no doubt.
exactly. I never got one. I
Yeah.
have no copies of business cards. There is very little
I
to
wonder if
even
you would have to
indicate.
ask for one. Like, probably no one gave you one because no one gave it a thought.
Yeah, I'm guessing that as well. Is that uh, I'm almost sure I must have had asked the mailroom, "Hey, can I get business cards?" And someone would have, and I think they said someone has to approve that, and it never happened. It was the same thing about, getting a computer in my office. Hey, I talked to Bob Harris. Bob was the editor
Mhm,
in chief, so he's the head of our department at the top, so to speak.
right.
So he was the one that I had to ask. I need I need a computer. Everyone's talking about this thing called email, and they keep saying that, well, didn't you read it in the new email? It's like I don't have a computer. I
Ah,
need a computer. And true to fashion, not fault of Bob, but true to fashion of working in a corporate environment, like, oh, okay, we'll have to order one for you. Send me an email and I'll make sure that you get one. But he caught himself when he realized he said, "Send me an email." It's like, how can I send you an email, Bob? I don't have a computer. So it's just one of those things where it's like, the good thing about it is when I did get the computer, it's like, okay, what do you want? I was like, well, I want a Mac. I want one of those brand new Macs and what have you. And I got like I think it was a gray one, when they were the colored ones. And it was really cool. It was like, "Oh, this is great. I got a new Mac." But I felt a little guilty. Is like, is this like the best Mac? Again, at the time, I didn't know enough. Like, I don't have anything like better than the bullpen, do I? Because I do not want to like step on anybody's toes. And I was like, "No, no, their machines are great." And it's like, "Okay, if you say so." But Dan Carr did come by to take a look at the Mac
Ah.
because he wanted to see what the new one looked like, you know?
Cool. Let's see. 62 Lefty Blues says, sounds like they want to make the process to be so torturous that you will give up before reaching the end. You can't help but think that, but I know that there's probably no intention behind it. That old saying that never, what was it? Never say it's malice when it's probably incompetence.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't even want to say it's incompetence. It's just kind of a process that's built upon a process, built upon a process, a kludge, as they call it, something that's stuck together with. So I don't know if anybody's given it a lot of thought in years.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
think
if, you know,
yeah, I agree with you. It's that you have things where it becomes this kind of a machine where, again, going back because again, I always talk about the Marvel ears because that's the only Office items I'm aware of.
Kit
You know,
Goblin, I wanted to get it online. I need a
I need a
computer,
computer.
Johnny Mnemonic. Well, hello there, Captain Finity.
Welcome, welcome.
I'm all about result. He sees no difference between malice and confidence. I understand that.
Yeah, exactly. So it was
As
like
it's
when
just you don't want to think people are out to get you. That's
no,
what it
not
is.
not at all. But you could easily fall into that kind of where okay, so I was working
Huh,
on the Marvel Dam, which was
right.
the
Oh, I remember
digital
that.
right. So it's the digital library that they were
That's where they
working on.
backed up all the digital files in the 90s
Right. So it was one
into
of
the
those things,
2000s.
and it was made so the idea was if you were Kellogg and you wanted to put Spider-Man you wanted to get a Spider-Man comic into the cereal box, you can go onto the web, go to the library, pick the book you wanted, get the files, and send those files to the printer.
Right.
And they pay for the printing cost, but they have access to the file, and that's the concept. And we were dealing with a lot of the books being reprinted in different countries and stuff like that. So the system concept is good.
Right.
Implementing it was a pain because it was one of those things where it's like, okay, so someone would come to me and say they need this particular book,
Yep.
and then I was supposed to get the book and send it to them. But because of the way they set it up, it was in the sense of, okay, you have to request a book. You have to go, the person requested it now has to go get discs so that information can be burned onto that disc.
Right.
And then they get it. So they have to do the request, have to go running to get the disc. But I found myself kind of like annoyed by that process. And looking back at it, it's like I feel like a jerk because I was without realizing it at the time, where someone would come by and it's like, I need to get this book. It's like, okay, I need you to send me a request via email so I can
Right.
get you the book. So they go, they make the request, they come back, okay, I have the request. Then it's like, oh, I am going to need discs to put the books on. I need you to go get the disc. Where do you get the disc from? You got to go to Dan to get the discs. So instead of giving me discs to
Right.
have there on hand, you now brought in another person
Right.
who now has to approve the discs that are going to
Yep.
another guy. So it's like I made this person come back to my office at least 3 times. And it's like, this is not a good system because one, the system is kind of getting annoying to me I have to stop what I was working on to deal with this extra piece
Right.
that was given to me because I wasn't promoted. I was given this job in the sense of, hey, can you hold this key? Hey, would you mind doing this? That kind of stuff.
And this was
So,
before the age of PDFs too.
yes, because now we're
Okay.
downloading the whole book
All
in
the
its
lettering
raw
files,
and its
all the art files,
and in its raw
and the
contents.
Quark file.
Yes. It was, again, still faster for me to just pull the CD case of books that I already had
Right.
and make a copy of that and give it in. But no, they wanted to add, and again, it is all the corporate mentality of, you know, not necessarily IT itself, but the guy who put together this whole digital system to, make his job easier by creating this whole system that was like, it was a whole lot easier when you came by, asked me for a book, and I gave it to you.
But
Then
they
to
couldn't keep
include,
track of
they
everything
couldn't
that
keep
way.
track, so they have to have tickets for everything.
Right.
And, now you're involving two other departments to send in a ticket, get approved, and then, and if we didn't have access to it, they had to go looking for it on their tapes, which was a whole other thing too. And can they find those tapes? And then in the end, they can't find the tapes. And where do they go looking for these files? In the CD cases that I kept, that they kept saying, throw those away. We don't need those anymore. Throw those away.
It's like, no.
Oh. But yeah, I completely understand the frustration of, well, one, not being told what you need to do to advance.
Right.
And then when you get told what to do, it's that whole bureaucracy of, okay, now you need this form. Now you need
Right.
this form. You also need this form, and it's like, yeah, I
Would
feel
you?
for you.
I worked with you. Would you write me a recommendation in case I need another one? I'll send you. Carl Bowlers wrote me one, so I'll send you his so you know the format.
Yeah, completely.
All right.
What I've done in the past is,
Uh-huh.
because I've done this for many of my interns who come
Ah.
by and ask for recommendations, like, you write it up and I'll sign it. Because this way here, you'll know what you need on it to say the right things.
Yeah.
Because again, and I, because I've had many interns from Marvel that
Okay.
was like, "Oh, would you mind writing this? Writing me something?" And it's like, "I don't think I have the time. What if I write it for you?" It's like, "That's perfect. Write it. I read
All
it.
right.
That's perfect. Here you go." So I have no problem with that. But yeah, I'll do the recommendation.
Good. Because
You know,
I might need more. I don't know.
and that's the thing. As an educator, who do you need writing your recommendation for education? Your former students?
Well, no. You need. This is what I need. I
Okay,
need one person who works with me in education at the school, and I need
right,
two other people outside to that's as far as I knew. I actually have Marie writing me one. She said she's gonna. Ed and Carl all wrote me. So Ed's the one in the school who wrote it for me. So now I
right,
got to ask another. Like I said, I don't actually know if I need three more. I could just
right.
tell from the little thing. It looks like I might need three more. I'd rather have them and
Yeah,
not need them than
need them and
need
not
them and
have
not
them.
have them.
Exactly.
Tit Goblin, get me pictures of Spider-Man. Do you have from G Reach 01 file under the Zip 82.9 card?
Exactly. It's these things that you got to jump through. Oh, I feel for you. I definitely do.
Did you make it to the comic shop this week?
I made it to the comic book shop on Wednesday.
All right. I didn't even make it till Thursday.
Yeah, so my sister was going away, so I took a ride with her to the airport. And
Uh-huh.
since it was like, well, since I got to pass through Times Square to get, I mean, Grand Central to get home, because we were going from the airport to Grand Central and then from Grand Central to the regular train. I was like, oh, I could stop by on a Wednesday and pick up my books. So that's what I did.
Uh-huh.
So I had my books since Wednesday, and of course I haven't read any of them,
They're not
but I
even out of their plastic bag.
not even out of the bag, but I did pick it up. Oh, and I was able to. I didn't pick it up. I'll pick it up next Wednesday. I was able to order that Jack Kirby book from
Okay.
um from Midtown Comics. So they did have it on their website. So I
You
selected to
put it in
get it.
order.
I put it in the order, so it will be waiting for me at the shop next
All
week when I pick
right.
up my books. So I only picked up one book off the rack, which is amazing. I mean, Spider-Man 94.
Let
Whoops,
me get-
Spider-Man 94.
Okay, that's that. Yeah, that's the one I said
So
came out last week.
Yeah, so this continues the Spider-Man 94 animated series,
Right.
which, if people remember back then, ended on a cliffhanger, which was that Mary Jane got lost through some sort of tunnel, dimensional tunnel, and we did not see her again until the X-Men 97 cartoon, which shows Spider-Man and Mary Jane witnessing the destruction of of the island. I forget the name of the island.
Is that a
So
JR Jr. cover?
this is let's see if it actually says variant covers. So you have Ron Lim did one. Uh John Tyler Christopher did the one that looks like an action figure. And then you have Ricky Yakawa is I guess this one, because I don't think this is Ron Lim. I do not see a signature on it at all.
It just looked vaguely like JR when you held it up. JR.
To me, it looks a little more like Alex Savick, but Alex did the Spider-Man that was basically based on that cartoon.
Okay.
And so the inside look is the continuation of the animated series. It does not open up with him right away finding Mary Jane. This one actually opens up in the middle of a story, but they're going to go, from what I understand, they're going to go back in the story to say what actually has happened. So I'm looking forward to reading it. I just know some stuff in it. I'm curious if they were going to go this direction with it because they're introducing characters like Kane, which was a clone of Spider-Man. So it's very much dealing with kind of like that time period. So I'm looking forward to it because again, it continues the animated series in comic book format. I believe there are supposed to be 4 issues altogether for this. I don't know
Okay.
if they're going to be monthly or bi-monthly or what have you. I don't know if Marvel still does bi-monthly stuff anymore.
Yeah, that's a good question. I am not sure. If they do they say so?
Right. Yeah, they would say it in the indicia that I would
Yeah.
have to look for, but it's yellow on black and such a tiny font. I
And
don't
you
have
need
my
a magnifying
I'm going to
glass,
need
let
my
alone reading
yeah,
glasses.
I would need my reading glasses for it. But
I get
again,
sometimes reading
looking
glasses aren't
forward to
enough.
it.
I got to pull out my magnifying glass.
I have done that for a few little projects here and there.
Yeah.
If I'm inking something very fine, I've had to have done that.
Let me show you this one. I'll switch off with you.
All right.
This is the first issue of Murder Podcast. And I really like this cover by the writer Jeremy Huan, who's also an artist, but he's been writing for the last few years. I like the nice, creepy look on her face. She's got a nice listening to her podcast with a skull on it. The art and the inside is actually by Mike Tisserand, colored by Nick Filardi, lettered by Andworld Design. And it's pretty solid art on the inside. I don't know how to describe this art because there's a lot of sort of indie art these days that reminds me of this. To me, I really can't. It's sort of a clean lined style that like Radiant Black is drawn like this. Kind of reminds me of Invincible. Maybe that was sort of the first place I saw this sort of art style. Little cartoony, but clean lined and well drawn, but not a ton of expression to it. But I enjoyed the issue. It was well done. And it's the story. We open with a woman who's listening to a podcast, and then a new podcast comes on. And as she's listening to it, she murders her husband. So this is about, I think that, and then at the end, sort of the same thing happens. So I guess this is a story, murder podcast, about a podcast that if you listen to it, you will murder someone.
Fascinating. Now,
So
is the murder in the podcast that she's listening to describing how she's
no,
murdering? No? Okay.
it's just a podcast. It just sounds like a normal podcast. But actually, let me. There's one panel where there's the podcaster. So you know evil is going on with this podcast because there's like
right.
so it was pretty there's a blurb on the back. Let's see. A mysterious podcast has appeared in the feed on your phone. You don't remember subscribing to it. Do you press play anyway? What could be the harm? Plenty, as it turns out. Listeners of Dead Sounds are going on murderous rampages. They don't stop until everyone around them is dead. It begs the question, who will be next? For Mina and her friends, true crime programs provide them with endless fodder for conversation. They love talking about their favorite series and poring over the clues to solve the killings. They can only hope that all of this listening has prepared them for what they find themselves wrapped around in a deadly plot that could be fodder for a podcast all its own.
That's fantastic.
So, written by
And
Jeremy Juan, illustrated by Mike Tisserand, colored by Nick Filardi, lettered by And World, and there's some sort of podcasts that go with it. In the back are Welcome to Curious Haunts with Jeremy Juan, and I think that's some sort of podcast there if anyone wants to scan it. And on the other page is Make an Appointment for the Colonoscopy. This won't hurt a bit. There's that one. Who is, what's his name? Cullen, the writer. Can't remember his name. Colin Bunn. That's it. That's the colonoscopy. So a good one. Like I really like I first knew Jeremy Juan as a as an artist back in the day, and I always liked his work. It was pretty good. But like I said, lately he's been writing stuff. He wrote one series I really like. He co-wrote one series called The Beauty years ago, but he wrote one called Red Mother a few years ago that I enjoyed. And I always, with the name Juan, Huan, I always thought he was Asian of some kind, but he looks like a bearded white guy.
okay.
I'm not sure what his ethnicity is, but that's just notable because I always assumed he was Huan. I really don't even know what that name is, but HUs I usually know from the eastern part of the world.
Right.
But that one was good. That was a good first issue, and it's by Ignition Press.
It sounds like a good premise. Actually, it sounds like at another time that would have been like either an Outer Limits
Yeah,
type of a TV show or a
right,
series where, there's always, not always, but there's a lot of stories revolving around whenever there's a new technology or whatever is very popular
right,
becomes the method of a killing thing,
right.
or it's destructive, or there's usually science gone bad is the trope of whatever they try. And in history, sometimes these things really become not used because of that. From what I understand, cloning stopped because of the movie Boys from Brazil.
Ah,
Because of that cloning, that movie was about cloning, and it happened to be they were cloning Hitler's.
yep.
So
I
you have
read the
that.
book back in the day and saw the movie.
And same thing with nuclear power is not really used as much as they wanted to because of like what was it? Well, yeah, we did have a real world meltdown. But
Right.
before that there was a book and that they made into a movie
Oh,
as well,
what was the movie with Meryl Streep?
the name is escaping me. It's
Me
just
too. Now
flew
that you
out of my
mention it,
head. But there
All of a
was
sudden, I
a
can't remember it.
there was a movie that
And right after the 3 Mile Island
Three Mile
incident.
Island did not help because,
Mhm.
it was well, and Chernobyl didn't help either. But,
That was many years later.
that was years later, but before the Andromeda strain, no, that was
No,
about a
no, that was
virus.
the one
That was a virus.
right
Um,
in the lockdown building.
what is the name of the movie? It'll
Ah,
come to me later after the show.
you'll shout we'll shout it out in the middle of the show. There
Silkwood.
Silkwood, there we go.
Silkwood.
Eric P's
Yeah,
got
so
it.
because I think that was a book first, but it was definitely a movie,
Yep,
and that did not help the idea of having nuclear power. So every time there's a new technology, even though podcasts have been around for a long
right.
time, but again, it's like using
True crime
technology for it.
podcasts are especially popular.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's fascinating. People are always fascinated by that type of stuff. But true
Mhm.
crime has been in comics for
Yep,
decades. Ripped from the headlines or based on real stories.
ripped
I
from
like
the
I like seeing it,
headline.
and it helps that artwork looks really good, and
Yeah,
definitely a striking cover.
I really like this cover. I think it's just a very good cover. It's a
Yeah.
nice image, well drawn. It's just fun. Fun and creepy.
Uh huh.
Want to show us another book?
Sure. Um, so I've continued up to 18 issues of Thundercats without reading
Ah, ah,
very
ah.
much of it. So it's a nice cover with Chitara and
Eric P.
Lionel.
also mentions that the China Syndrome with Jane Fonda was another nuclear meltdown movie. That's
Ah,
right.
there you go. Yeah.
Silkwood and the China Syndrome.
Yep. So let's find a page that's not an ad. It's like every three pages is an ad. So here we go. So Carriers of Thundercats. Again, I do not like that tiger design. Um, and again, it's just one of those little things that it doesn't look like the cartoon show, and it bothers me. And again, I know change happens, especially in comics, but sometimes the nostalgia is you want it to look like it
Right.
did back in the day.
When it's a nostalgia comic, you want that hit of nostalgia.
Yes, exactly. I see here. So looks like they're trying once again to hit more nostalgia. So they're working on Blue
Blue
Falcon and
Falcon
Dynamite
and Dynamite.
and the Herculoids.
I think the Herculoids is actually out. I've seen that one. Oh yeah, issue
Oh
number
yeah,
9.
yeah, issue
Right.
9. So the
Oh, so
Falcon and Dynamite, maybe I'll give that a try.
how many issues? What issue number is that? Did you say?
This is issue number 18.
You've got to read some of those.
I definitely do.
You don't have to read them to get that hit of nostalgia. You
Nostalgia.
just have to look through them.
Exactly.
Captain Finity says, by the way, I'm working on my own time travel script outline. Scott to the Führer.
Scott to the Fuhrer.
Eric P. Herculoids has been out and was okay. Only got a couple of issues. Okay.
Ah, so it's just okay.
I never saw much Herculoids. Only
I enjoyed it, because that was a series that its first season I think ran 20 episodes, but it got repackaged as part of like a Space Ghost hour type thing.
mhm,
So they were, and I really enjoyed Space Ghosts. So they would have Space Ghost, Herculoids, I think the Frankenstein Junior. That was all in a block, and they each had like 8 to
right,
10 minutes episode type stuff, and I enjoyed it because it was the only, other than Super Friends, it was the only other superhero type show
right.
going on at the time that
There
wasn't
weren't many.
overly kiddie like the Smurfs and stuff like that.
That's the same reason I like The Impossibles.
Yes,
Not a very good cartoon, but like in
not
the
at all.
late 70s, the repeats of it were like the only superhero
The
show.
only one, Fluid Man does the impossible, and Coil Man does the impossible,
The
and they happen to be,
Impossible.
singers.
Eric P says the Blue Falcon and Dynamite was out this week, but my LCS didn't get the cover I ordered. Wah wah wah.
Ah.
Hopefully they'll get it in. I know sometimes, they short you and you never see it. That's really annoying.
But I do enjoy those characters, and once in a while they do little things where they do all exist in the same universe. That's always been from the old cartoons, and they were some I forget who did it. I know I think it was the Cartoon Network. They did newer shows and they connected stuff together. Like Blue Falcon was reinterpreted to being a security guard who was protecting the Johnny Quest Industries, and both
Mhm.
him and his dog got hurt. So they did this stuff on him and basically made them superheroes. So I like that they were connecting universes that way. I think that was one of the Scooby Doo series that was kind of bringing in back those characters because every now and then they try to do something with them,
Yeah,
but it's wild how sometimes they keep them too much with the cartoon universe for kids, and then other times they try to do something with it, and I just never kept up with it. I know DC was printing something called Future Quest. I think it was
right.
DC was printing
Yeah,
Future Quest that was supposed to combine everything together, but I don't know where it went. It's one of those things that's like, and I could understand maybe what it is that they're trying to get people like me who have the nostalgia for it, but don't actually go after it.
yeah,
'Cause, like, I was happy to know Future Quest was a thing being done, but I just never got into it. And then I
right.
hear things like they brought in the Flintstones to it as well, and I heard the Flintstone comic was actually really good.
Yeah, I remember hearing that back in the day. People liked I forget who the writer was, but people really liked what he did with the Flintstones.
So to me, it's like I like the concept of knowing these things are still in print and in comics, but unfortunately, I just don't really go after them.
Yeah. I don't really give them a thought.
Yeah,
uh, I'm not nostalgic for them.
right.
So,
Yeah, and it's like, and every once in a while, I'll revisit the cartoon and go, well, I'm glad this was only 8 minutes long. It is so hard to sit through them. And it's not that they're written bad, but it's just that they're written for kids, one, and
yeah.
two, it is so cheaply made. And you can
Ah,
see it in the artwork. Yes, they are
right.
beautiful Alex Toth designs and Gil Kane designs added to these things. But as you
That's
sit
where they
there, you
spent their
go,
money.
that's where they spent their money in the designs, but not necessarily in the animation itself.
Let's see. Here's a comic I got this week. Feral, issue number 16. What does that say? The battle for Pet City starts here. There are your rabies ridden zombie cats outside Pet City. Um, this is the one. What does it say? There are few comics that leap from the shelves like those from Tony Fleece and Trish Forstner. Close to the ground, animal POV horror. Extremely vibrant design scheme reminiscent of classic animal movies. Daniel McMahon Young, Fangoria Magazine. So there's your
Nice.
pull quote back there. And this is the one that's the horror book about the cats. Who there was a rabies like a super rabies outbreak, and and then there's a nice mother, and there was a rabies outbreak, and the art's really nice. And this is the one right where there's actually two artists, Trish Forstner and Tone Rodriguez. Brad Simpson on the colors. Don't know who's doing the lettering, but I think I was told that Trish Forstner does all like the cats, and Tone Rodriguez does all the backgrounds and humans if they show up. Uh, and in this one, and this one, like a couple issues ago, our gang of cats who's outside trying not to get killed by all the rabies and the humans have like disappeared. They've gone out of the area. They'll kill the animals if they see them because there's a big outbreak. So they found like a pet city, big warehouse. uh, pet supply store, and they managed to break in and come. It was like a heist, them trying to get into Pet City. But then they discovered there was a whole bunch of cats already living there. So they got into conflict with those cats, and now things have gone from bad to worse in the conflict in this issue. So it's it's funny to read a horror story about cats.
Yes. Or so is it just cats or they're all pets have this
All pets,
all pets?
all animals have rabies.
So
Like it's just so easy to catch and swept through like the whole animal kingdom where they live, which I think is the Northwest.
okay.
So they were out in the woods and ran into dogs and I don't know what, squirrels and badgers, whatever else was in the woods with them that they had
Oh,
to dodge.
so
So,
I was thinking about that book the other day.
huh,
Oh, because I'm living it through you doing the
right.
reviews and stuff like that. And what's interesting about the concept, without really going into it, is
Hmm.
that this book can technically be a prequel to Planet of the Apes.
Ah,
Because in the original Planet of the Apes, the reason why humans started adopting apes was because a plague wiped out all the pets.
ah,
But they
that's
never really go
interesting.
into what the plague was. We just knew that there was a plague. And so in the original series, they said the plague wiped out pets. And because that humans need pets, they started adopting monkeys. And
Right.
then the monkeys naturally started to evolve because humans were taking them into their homes,
Hmm.
teaching them, and they eventually became servants. And then it goes on from there. And then evolution, with the help of humans,
Then they
they
bred for the
they
smarter
bred
monkeys.
smarter monkeys that will eventually talk and stuff like that. And
Yep.
we're talking about the original
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes before they did
That's
the movie
interesting.
where they change it, where the virus. I don't think they mentioned the pets being killed by the virus in the newer series. It's just that the virus started making people dumber and the apes smarter. So they
Ah,
kept a virus element, but
that
this
sounds like a
had
weird virus.
yes. So they kept a virus element to it, but they changed it for the newer Planet of the Apes. But the original ones, it was because of a virus that killed all the animals, all the pets.
Interesting.
And again, that cover, fantastic cover.
Yeah.
The matching the red of the eyes of the cats with the red
Yeah.
of the background, very graphic,
I'll
strong
show
graphic
everybody the
to it.
cover again.
Yeah, it's a
Really
beautiful
good.
cover.
And I'd show you the last panel, but I don't want to give anything away, which was also cool. Feral. There's the red of the eyes of the rat, the zombie cats, because it's very much a zombie story.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah. Everything you described of it, yeah, it's definitely a zombie story.
definitely a
There is
zombie story.
it's funny because there's a Japanese animated story where they have all these cats attacking humans. And what it is that if a human picks up a cat and holds it, that human becomes a cat. Does not become a human pretending to be a cat. No, they physically turn into a cat. So now humans are running away from these cats, but they're so cute. The humans want to hold them. So it's strange that they made a zombie movie of cats,
Wow.
basically turning humans into cats, which just the
Huh.
trailer alone is entertaining.
And the the cats that were in already in Pet City like created their own society too,
Mhm.
with their own weird rules.
Right. Yeah,
They
with
were
that page.
living
Oh,
trapped in a pet city.
yeah, the image you show with the cat that's saying mother, I'm guessing that's the one that's controlling all the other cats.
She's in charge, mother.
Uh-huh. And it's a fat cat. So
Yep.
that's entertaining. It works on so many levels.
It's a really good book. Tony Fleece is a good writer and artist too, because he's not drawing this one, but he's the one who drew. Oh, what was the name of it? The one about the superhero who moved back to his own hometown.
Oh, no, no man, no.
Oh, what was the name of that?
No hero or no man.
Local Man. Local
Local,
Man. That
local.
was
There
it.
we go. Mhm.
Well, so he actually drew Local Man. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Eric P.
Local Man. Local was actually a book. That's a good book. Local Man was the one that Tony Fleece did. There's also a book called Local that's by oh Brian Wood and I forget who drew it. Ryan Benjamin, was that his name? Um, but that one was good. Man, yes. Local Man. That one was or was it Becky Cloonan? I forget which one drew it, but that was the one about a woman who was like moving from city to city, living in different places for a couple of years. That was a good one. I enjoyed that one thoroughly. Local Man too. Local Man was a good series. I'd reread that. Um, it's funny because what did I give away to my students this week? Some stuff from Jerry's. I'll have a story about that in a minute. But Royal City is what I gave to the one guy I usually give specific things to. Royal City was a Jeff Lemire book. Jeff Lemire. I don't know if it's Lemire or Lemire.
I always heard Lemire.
I always heard Lemire too, but still don't know if it's right. But anyway, Jeff
Yeah.
Lemire did this book, Royal City. I think there was 12 issues of it, but I never actually bought it. I won it in a YouTube contest. I forget from who, like 3-4 years ago now. And I read it and enjoyed it. It was fine, but I was like, you know what? I want to pass these on. So I'm probably not. It's probably not one I'm going to read again, which is my threshold for keeping things these days. Is am
Right.
I ever going to? Do I want to? Because like the things I mentioned today, like Red Mother, I want to read that again. Local Man, I want to read that again. Local, I want to read that again. Um, Royal City, all those are in front of it, so probably not.
Right.
So it's just kind of like, you know what? I can give this one away. I can give that one away. What else do you have for us?
So I have here Power Rangers Prime, issue number 10.
Have you read them?
Nope, not at all. I could even tell you what's going on. I think Power Rangers Prime is supposed to continue the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers story, because the Power Rangers have different iterations of the
Okay.
Power Rangers. So I think this may continue like the TV story, where they have newer characters coming in to replace. But I have not read any of this, so I am not even sure what the actual story is. This is one of those cases of I needed to put 10 books in order to have a pull list. And so it's like, oh, I think I would like to read this. I
Why
like to
not?
read that. So that's why, because like the core stuff that I realized that I am reading was Spider-Man, Superman type of thing when I do
Right.
read them, and Gotcha Man, those and the Godzilla books. So I know I end up reading those first, and then the other books were more like, I think I would like to read this so I can make it up to 10. And the other problem too is sometimes, and that it's not a problem. It's just that some books end, so it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I need to put another one into the mix, kind of a thing.
That's why also most of this summer I had like 8 to 10 comics on my a week on my pull list.
Right,
And now I'm down to 5 because so many of them ended and I haven't found things to replace them yet. Like Murder Podcast is a new one.
right.
But I guarantee you it's a mini series. I don't know how many issues it's going to go. And in the last month, I think like 4 of the things I were buying ended, and that's just the way comics are these days.
Yes, yeah, or is that the way indie comics always was?
Indie comics more
Yeah,
so, but Marvel and DC series just end and then relaunch.
yeah, like, because that's a different animal, being
Right.
that they have to keep going. because that's part of their machine.
But I have a bunch of Walking Dead stuff to show since I got stuff the last 2 weeks. But I got a slab, which made me realize something. This is Walking Dead #5. So an early issue. Once again, I had Walking Dead from 3 on up that I bought off the newsstands. And I had to sell the early issues, I don't know, about 4 years ago when I was completely broke. So I said to myself, now that I'm not completely broke, not that I have a ton of money, I wanted to buy these back again just to make me feel good and to sell in case I'm really broke again.
Yeah.
So this, I also, along with, since I got this in a case, I also picked up the same, what is this? Fine. The same book in the reprint. This is Walking Dead Weekly that came out, I don't know, 10 years ago. It's like they decide, like when Walking Dead was really popular, like let's say Walking Dead was around issue 100.
Right.
They decided to put out Walking Dead Weekly so people could buy reprints of it. So I was like, well, since I'm getting it in the case and I don't want to crack open the case, I don't see a point to that. I decided to get a reprint of it just to have a raw one.
Right. So if you ever
And
want to read it, you can.
these aren't cheap either. I bought the 3 of them together, and together they were $25.46. So that's $8.49 a piece for reprints. That's with shipping and tax.
Right.
But I was like, you know what? I'll do it just for the, like, this is all just to make me feel better.
I completely understand.
Yep, I usually don't do that, but in this case I did. And this one, and what I did before I started buying these, was I went on eBay, because I'm buying them all off eBay. And I went to the sold section and I looked at each issue, what it sold for, and I gave myself an estimate for how much it would cost raw. I wasn't looking to buy slabs, but in some case you don't really have a choice. But let's and my estimate for this book was $90. And this slab, that's without shipping and tax. That's just that I was estimating without shipping and tax. And this one was in fact without shipping and tax, $95. All in, it was $109 with shipping and tax. So that was right around my estimate for a raw book.
Right.
And I told you that sometimes these I've seen some of these go for, like, not this particular issue, but like slabbed Walking Deads from like 20 and below, that I've seen some go for like $20 to $40 in an auction for like way less than I thought, but usually 9.2s or 9.4s. And I realized the reason, it's like any book from the CGC era, let's just say from the 21st century. I think CGC was around in the end of the 90s, but we'll call the CGC era the 20th century, the 21st century, the 2000s. From 2000 up, people who collect CGC books want them in 9/8 because you should be able to walk into your comic shop, pull the latest comics off the shelf, and find 9/8 candidates. And that's what they want. If someone sends in their book they got last week into CGC and it comes back a 9.6, they're disappointed.
Yes.
And what it is with these 9.2, and I heard someone say that it was I can't remember his name, Long Box Short, on Mercenaut. I don't know if you know him. He's a YouTuber. Does this show every week, Hot Comic Book Alert or something, where he just goes onto eBay and sees comic books he's interested in that's sold for a lot of some golden age stuff, some modern stuff, and they have discussions between themselves, the guys on the show, and they're more collectors than readers. So collectors, and one of them actually said this, they wouldn't buy like a Walking Dead 9.2 because they want a Walking Dead 9.8. And they would rather spend the $100 or even more, like because this that was cheaper than a lot of the raw books. This 9.2, they would rather spend $100 on a raw book, especially in these days of cleaning and pressing, that they think might get them a 9.8 than buy a 9.2, which probably there's a good chance somebody else already cleaned and pressed. So they're never going to get this 9.2 up to the 9.8 they want. So they'd rather have a raw one, which is why I notice in buying these sometimes like a raw Walking Dead issue number 5 can go for, some people can go for like 90 was my estimate. They sell for 150 sometimes. And meanwhile, a CGC 9.2 is only 95. So it's like, because people want 9.8s. They don't want 9.2s. Not that they're worthless, but it's like there's a lot of people who are like 9.2. No, that they're just not interested in that. And I find that interesting because I'm
Yeah,
okay with it. It gets me it cheaper.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I only own 2 books that are slabbed, and I enjoy them. I think they're fine.
It,
I have
it turns it into an art object.
yeah, 4.5 for
Right.
Amazing Spider-Man 72, which
Uh-huh.
is right there.
Yep.
And then that's my Criterion Collection Godzilla. And then behind here is my next issue that I have slab, which is a 9.4 of it's a Spider-Man Index or something like that, which is kind of retelling Spider-Man's story up to that point. And so that was just given to me by a friend who was buying his own slab books. He saw that for I think like $14, and was like, "Oh, I think Wilson would like this," and bought it and sent it to me just because he was like, "Oh, it's Spider-Man. Wilson would like it, and it's
Yeah.
such an is inexpensive." But again, I only have that like talking pieces because when I do get my books, I do eventually read them, and
Right.
that's what I wanted to do with the Amazing Spider-Man books is to get them. But when I saw this one that is the I think it's issue 72, I want to say. Maybe not. Actually, it's before that. But again, it's one of those things where I was happy with a 4.5 because it made it so much less expensive
Yeah.
than, having I my criteria for a book has always been for back issues is try not to spend more than $20 on it.
Right. Yeah.
So, I don't need them to be 9 points or whatever. I'm still the very good, very fine books type of thing. As long as the cover is still attached completely, I'm fine with those. But I could see, collectors being collectors that they would want to be a match. So 9.8, they want it to
Yeah.
be all 9.8s.
It's like I said,
Yeah.
I mean, people don't really care if it's like a 70s book or a 60s or back book. They want the
Right.
best copy they can get, of course.
Right.
A 9.2 of Amazing Fantasy 15, I'm sure people would love.
Yes.
But anything from the CGC era, they want a 9.8.
Because at that point,
9.2 is like
that's what they're collecting. They're
that's
collecting
what
the
they're
9 point.
collecting.
Yeah, they're collecting 9.8. It may
Right.
not necessarily matter what the comic book is.
Yeah. No matter what the comic, they want to get, and it's from the CGC era, they want a 9.8. Because why would you buy a 7? There's like a 7.5 of one of the Walking Deads up there. And it's like no one's ever going to buy this, especially for the price the guy has of that. A CGC.
Right.
It's like no one's ever going to buy that.
Yeah.
Let me run through quickly the other ones I got. Walking Dead 11. This one was $24. Like I said, they're not super expensive, but they add up when you need a bunch of them. Walking Dead 16 was $21. But these are all the early issues too, so you can't expect them to be
Right.
$5. Walking Dead 17 with this terrific Tony Moore cover. This one was $22. Walking Dead 18, which I don't have my receipt in on the back. I think this one was around 25. It was a couple bucks more expensive than the stuff around it. It had some first appearances in it or something. Then Walking Dead Weekly 5, 6, or 7. I haven't even gotten the regular 6 or 7 yet because they haven't come at a price I liked. But I have the weeklies for them waiting.
Right.
Like I said, this is all just to make me feel better. This is all to make me not walk by my Walking Dead closet, which I used to have the book stuffed in a closet.
Right.
And I'd walk by and go, remember when I had those? And you know what's funny about that too? I also sold like my incredibly terrible shape Hulk 181. But that was a copy someone gave me like when I was in high school.
Right.
And it was a crappy copy. I mean, it was like missing the Marvel value stamp, cover nearly detached. I think it was detached at the end. Holes in the cover, some sort of food smeared a little bit on the cover, it looked like. And like I said, I sold that because I needed the money, and I am not the least bit emotionally attached to that one because someone gave it to me. I didn't buy. For some reason, there's some difference between me buying it and someone giving it to me.
Right.
I sold my Iron Man 55 first appearance of Thanos. Once again, that was once I just remember someone. I don't even remember who gave it to me when I was like in high school. I was a kid. Someone just gave me that. That one was in pretty good shape. But sold up, don't care to have it back. Whatever. But somehow those Walking Deads I bought off the stand, starting with issue 3. So it's like some reason I want those ones back.
I wonder also, is there The Walking Dead also has your connection to the Marvel bullpen?
It
Because you
does
all
because
because
that's where I first read it.
you all
Right,
shared that book, and that you all talk about that book each
right.
time a new issue came out.
Jacob Chabot bought issues 1 and 2, and everyone in the bullpen and everyone in Marvel read them.
Right.
That's why I started with issue 3 because I read Jacob's 1 and 2. And that was one every time the issue came out, we'd all talk about it. So it was a
Yeah,
fun
so
book.
I think it helps that there is a
Yeah,
connection,
there's a
and
connection.
I know what you mean about selling books. It's like I had no problem selling many of the copies that I had gotten from
Right,
Marvel. I kept the Spider-Man ones.
right,
I'm almost sure the only like I don't think I have any regrets selling any of the comic books that I got, mainly because 90% of them I got for free
right.
from Marvel. And the few books that I bought and sold, like Spider-Man 300,
Mhm.
I sold the copy that I had bought as an extra.
Yep.
So I was okay selling that one as well because it was a well-read copy, but still good enough to sell for a couple of hundred
Mhm.
bucks. But it doesn't change the hole in my collection. So
I
I can see that how this is more connected to you because not only did you buy it, but you
Right,
share that story that's why you want them back.
right.
So I could
I
definitely
s
see that.
I sold my Spider-Man 300, and I don't know where I got it from.
Oh, okay.
I I think I think I got it from Marvel, but Marvel I Spider-Man 300 predates my days at Marvel, but I have a vague memory of I must have found the issue around Marvel and said, "Oh, Spider-Man 300. I'll give this a read. This is a 300 issue," because I don't remember ever buying it off the stands. What year that was like the late 80s, right? Spider-Man
Spider-Man
300.
300, I want to say 89.
So my first time working at Marvel was November of 89. So there very well could have been, and it was worth nothing then. And
Right.
there very well could have been copies just lying around the bullpen because there was always comics lying around. So I think that's where I got it from, but I'm not 100% sure.
So it was the release date says January 12th, 1988.
Okay. So there
I
still could have been copies lying around in 89.
Very much so. Yeah, because they printed
A lot.
millions.
Yeah.
They printed a lot of them. You could easily at that time period see that they would have been laying around.
Yeah.
Because I know when I got to Marvel, they were books over 2 or 3 years old,
Yeah.
still in those bins.
Like another
Sitting
one I
there.
didn't know I had. Uh the McFarlane issue with Captain America on the cover.
Right.
I think I must have picked that one up at Marvel because I liked the cover. And it's in my Spider. When I found the 300, I was like, "Oh, look at that! I got this one too."
Yeah. So
Sometimes I have
yeah.
to look at my database. Let me see Eric P's comment here about Martian Manhunter. Jared, I would like to hear your reaction to Absolute Martian Manhunter, which is much more of a crime story than a superhero book, and the art is great. And Missing Mars says the art is great. Eric, I'm gonna have to find a digital copy of that and give it a look. I'll read it on my new giant my iPad Pro that my old iPad Pro that my friend gave me, and just for reading digital comics. So I will definitely give. I want to give that one a look. And let me show you. Speaking of, I'm gonna have to show you Spawn 368 here just to tell you the story. Hell hath arisen. Some nice Brett Booth artwork. This is just a continuation of kind of all Spawn is the same.
Right.
Lots of heaven and hell. Some nice Brett Booth big panels. I'm
Oh,
really
very
enjoying
nice.
the Brett Booth artwork in this. Lots of heaven and hell, lots of fighting, though this one's an epilogue, so there's lots of talking. McFarlane's definitely improved as a writer with this run, I have to say. Uh, the last run he did before this one, I didn't think I remember complaining on here, a year or two ago, that I couldn't believe that McFarlane's writing hasn't improved in all these years. Well, I can finally say I think it does. I think it
Yeah.
did. I think his writing has improved.
Maybe he got an editor.
Maybe that's it. I don't know. Is there an editor on the editor in chief Thomas Healy? Um, but I told you before that I gave away Royal City to a student.
Right.
And before this week, he was always like, "Give me whatever you got." This week, he was finally like, "I think you can pause for now. I haven't caught up on any of this reading." I was like, "Okay,
Uh-huh.
I'll give it." He's like, "Bring him in for the rest of the students. You can pause me." I'm like, "All right, no problem." Then I was like, "Well, is there anything you want specifically?" And he was like, "Spawn." He's like, "I've been really into stories of heaven and hell." I'm like, this is 368. I think I started buying Spawn at 312. So it's been right around 5 years worth of Spawn. I was like, I'm going to bring you in a few issues a week of Spawn now. He's like, okay, because I'm never going to read these Spawns again.
Right.
I was buying it because it was the last of $3 books. Now it's a $4 book, but I'm like, you know what? So what? I'll just keep going. But but he's now going to get some. I'll probably start with 312 and just keep bringing them in to the end of the semester.
There you go.
And he'll then have from 312 to 368 to read.
So the next issue that I have here is from Mad Cave Studios, Gotcha Man, issue number 12.
Have you read any of those?
I've read the first few of them,
Okay, that's good.
so I've been enjoying them because this is more like the original Japanese version of the cartoon, because they're working closely together with the creators of so it's not only a licensed project, but all the things that are going on it is being approved by the original creators, I guess you could say, or the original studio. And so we're following the Gotcha Man team, but they also include some new characters, like a junior team, which is
Uh-huh.
training to be a part of it. So there are new characters being created, again, with the full approval of the original studios, so they could continue the story itself. So I've
Uh-huh.
been enjoying the little bit that I've read, and I don't think this one was done. Let's see. Okay, Chris Batista did do this issue. It's written by Sam Humphries, penciled by Chris Batista. It's inked by Sabrina Cintron, and the colorist is Carlos Lopez. And Buddy Budonen, I'm saying that correctly. Uh, there you go. So there's the credits uh, for it. And so the artwork I've seen, I've been enjoying it. Chris Batista, I think, draws a little too much in it, meaning
Uh-huh.
he puts in so much details that it's like if he keeps that up, he could burn himself out. But
You just
he is
you worry about him.
I worry about him. He does because he's such a fan of it. But if
Right.
you ever read any of his books, he does put so much into it. His Legion of Superheroes, he always did his best to put like almost every character into every individual panels, and he does a lot of background details as well.
Huh.
We usually do conventions together, and so he'll have pages of the next book, and I kept telling him, man, I would hate to be his letterer on the book because I wouldn't want to cover up any of the artwork that's on there because he's so detailed in the
Uh,
background. So I, of course, I would love to be lettering his books, and I've lettered some of his art before. But again, some beautiful stuff. So, this is one of the nostalgias that pretty much hits what I like. The character, they
uh,
introduce new characters instead of just redesigning the old
right.
characters, and the designs are there, and the story elements are there. So
Huh.
that one I do look forward to getting, and that's usually when I do sit down when I have a free Saturday to read my comic books. The Gotcha Mans are usually on the top of the list.
Uh, you know what comics I got rid of? I don't actually remember getting rid of them, but they're ones I regret a little bit, but I've never gotten them back. In the 90s, I always, every so often, would do a purge of the collection. You know, you have to get rid of stuff because it space fills up.
Right,
So in the 90s, I would, bring stuff into Marvel to people who wanted it. Like, I got rid of my Fantastic Fours. I gave some of them to like Joe Sacco and some to Steve Bunch. I remember that. I didn't have a ton. I was never a big Fantastic Four fan, but I had like I didn't have any Kirby Fantastic Fours, but I
right,
got rid of like the John Byrne Fantastic Fours and some of the stuff from before. Like I probably started collecting Fantastic Four at around issue 160, 170, somewhere around. And I didn't start collecting it regularly till around issue 200, maybe in the 190s. So none of the great Fantastic, except for the Byrne people really like, but
yeah,
no issues that anyone thought was great. But I was like, here, and they were both Fantastic Four fans and had gotten rid of their issues years ago. So like, hey, you want them? They're yours. Here. I gave away like, what else was it? A bunch of Miller Daredevils just because I had multiple copies of them.
right,
Because a friend, I think I may have bought a second copy of them because one's going to be valuable and I'll buy one. And then I had a friend who did the same thing, except he bought 2 or 3 copies and then 10 years later just gave them all to me. He was like, I don't want
right.
these here.
Mhm.
So I passed out like multiple copies of the Frank Miller Daredevil to people around the bullpen. Um, I think I like the Hulks that were like I don't even know what issue I stopped Hulk with, but like at some like maybe from issue 300 up or 275 up, I got rid of my Hulk because I kept the ones from my childhood to maybe issue 250. But a bunch of my one day I went to look at my Iron Mans, and a bunch of them were missing, and I went, I don't remember getting rid of my Iron Mans, and there weren't. Um, I still had a whole bunch of them. I still had all the Michelini Leighton Iron Mans because I always
Right.
liked those best. But like some of the stuff before that, that was like George Tuska Iron Man stuff. I must have. I have no memory of getting rid of those issues for some reason, but I must have gotten rid of them because they're not there.
Right.
And every now and then I go, why did I get rid? Being that I can't remember getting rid of them, I'd always go, well, why did I get rid of those? So those never went back and got any of them. Now they're not that good.
Right.
Up, Donald Rex. Hello there. He's
Hello,
also
Donald.
enjoying Absolute Martian Manhunter. I'm certainly going to have to check that one out, at least digitally. At least. Oh, speaking of old Fantastic Fours, I haven't read this one yet, but Fantastic Four #9 facsimile edition came out.
Huh, I didn't see that one on the stand.
Could it use some more type on the cover, maybe?
Maybe just a little bit more.
Hey, Submariner's feet weren't covered by a UPC in the original.
You gotta pay extra
Um,
for the feet.
pay extra for the feet. You want one without the UPC? You pay extra. Submariner gives the orders.
Dun dun
I haven't
dun.
actually read this. I don't know if I've ever read this one before. Nothing like a witch doctor, a 60s witch doctor. So I look forward to reading this one. Nice airbrush cover.
I like how the blue text looks like the guy's being hit with it, so he has his hands up, blocking it
And
as if
Andy's
it's about.
blocking the balloon from down below.
Yep.
He like just had to fit all the. We've got a thought balloon from Submariner, a caption, a second caption that looks like it's, and a word balloon from the Thing. That's just.
I
And
yeah.
people
Why?
said Stan Lee knows how to do covers. I don't know.
Yeah. Is he trying to explain the cover, or does he get paid by the word that appears on the cover?
I just think of those editors over at DC Comics going, "How is this stuff selling?" Looking at this cover, going, "What? Our
Or
stuff's
is
much
it
better than that."
subconsciously you started to read it on the stand, so you technically started to buy it mentally,
Yeah, you're like, I
and
got to
then
see
that
what happens in the
I
rest of the story.
yeah, maybe. I wonder if there's something to that, because usually it's like, didn't Stan or someone say that, once you pick up the comic book
Yeah,
off the rack,
but
you almost have it, and once you read the first page,
the two
that's when you
word
got them.
balloons could have done the job.
I agree. I completely agree that that's way
Little
too
do they
much
dream that they'll
text on
soon be
there.
at the mercy of the Submariner. Heroes 1 minute, bums the next. How did it happen to us? What what happens to comic magazine heroes when they can't pay their bills and have no place to turn? Don't miss the newest and most original tale of all, the end of the Fantastic Four. I don't know how necessary that was in getting
I
you involved.
don't know either, but it is captivating enough to maybe pick it up to stand.
Oh, I'm not saying I wouldn't pick it
Yeah,
up. I'm saying, do I need that on there to
right.
pick it up?
Yeah, I
And
don't
then
know.
I guess this is supposed to be a sign on the Baxter building. It's tough to tell. Fantastic Four evicted from building, 5 tower floors for rent. I mean, do you need that if you got the other caption?
But you need that because that's probably was part of the artwork by
No,
itself.
it actually wasn't. It's
Was it?
actually in front of the other caption.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It kind of looks flat enough to him drawn on the artwork, but it's clearly not. They even put 2 bricks in front of it. to make it look like it was on the
Yeah,
artwork.
that looks
But
like a last minute addition. Yeah.
yeah, kind of nutty. The Fantastic Four. Do you have another comic for us?
I do, since we were speaking about Absolute Manhunter before, we have Absolute Batman, issue number
Uh-huh.
12, which
12. Boy, that's been out
issue
for a
num
year, huh?
yeah, issue number 12 with Godzilla on the cover. It's not, it's Killer Croc, but look how Godzilla looking he's in,
Huh.
excuse me, that he is on there. So
Have you kept up with that one?
I have not. Fortunately, I have not. I do know that they've been doing some stuff with it that people have been really enjoying.
I heard my
Because
first. Well, I should say I saw the a quick blip. I didn't really want to listen to it of my first negative absolute review. Kind of the guy in TikTok was like, we have to stop the absolute universe. It's so dreary. There's no hope in it." And I was like, "That's enough of a review for me."
right.
That's all. That was the first, like, because I've been hearing nothing but good things about the absolute universe.
Same here. I've been hearing really good things, and there have been a few panels out of content that just looks entertaining. So I figured, I still want to pick it up. So
I don't
visually,
like
it looks
that
cool.
Batman cover.
The cover
I think there
itself.
was an ad for it there. No, the one
Oh,
inside. There
the
was an
the ad.
ad for the Batman #1.
Yeah, it's
The other-
very generic. We've seen it before.
Yeah, and
I don't like that logo.
I don't find it particularly well done either. Not that it's terrible or anything, but the
Right, but it.
symmetry is not particularly interesting. I can't tell how Batman's legs are. I just don't. I've seen a lot better Batman drawings than that, even for that issue. So it's like I'm
Yeah,
not sure how that one was chosen for the first issue.
I do not know. It might have been this was what was available. It came in on time.
Yeah, who
Uh,
knows? Who
yeah,
you
I
know?
that's the thing. I do not know. It's like I
And
look at this
you know,
cover and I think more of a Batman Year One,
yeah,
and
the,
that
who knows?
cover is so much
The
better,
Batman
very
editor
similar.
may really like it. You
Yeah,
know,
it's very well possible.
the Batman cartoon was pretty good. The new one or that old '90s one that everybody loves? Is there a new Batman cartoon?
If there's a new one out, I have not seen it.
The what
I've
was it?
watched
Bruce
mostly
Timm
the
one from the '90s. Everybody
right. That's
loves that
the
Batman.
yeah the anime Batman the animated series was very well loved, or very well done. And the only other stuff that I've seen Batman animated wise are like the direct to video movies. And I enjoyed those because they did some really good stuff. New one from like 10 years ago. So that there was one where Batman was running around with it was kind of like a year one for Batman. It was like his early years that they did before they introduced a Robin. I don't know if that's the one that they're talking about because they did a few ones, and then there Batman Brave and the Bold was a lot of fun. That was more geared for kids in the sense of they would be Batman teaming up with another character.
He says new one from like 10 years ago. 2004 to 2008. Maybe 20 years ago.
All right, so yeah, Batman the TV series. uh, it's the one that I'm thinking of that was kind of like his early years. He might have been like Batman for about a year when we get into that storyline because they eventually do bring in
Do
Robin
check
and
it out.
Robin and Batgirl. So I've watched a few episodes of those. Those are fun.
Mhm. And another comic I got this week, Radiant Black. There's me. Issue number 37 we're up to. That's Radiant Black flying by, and here are more guys in super suits. Who are our creative staff on this one? Come on. Writer Kyle Higgins and Joe Clark. Shouldn't that be plural? Artist Marcelo Costa. Okay, he's the original artist. He's back. Layouts Paolo Danielle Santos. Colorist Rod Fernandez and letterer Becca Carey. I see her name all over the place. And this is the Marcelo Costa cover. This one, the first, I don't know, 30 issues or so were all this giant space war, the building up to this giant space war. And what's weird, I'm not quite sure what direction they're going in now, because there's our Radiant Black, who got this, Power Rangers suit from some alien, and it was part of the alien space war. But now that the war is over, I think there's just a lot of this technology left on Earth, and people have been leveraging it. And all of a sudden, there's a whole I think these are either private or government agents with super suits. And I'm not sure if they're working on behalf of the government or the. So all of a sudden, there's a whole bunch of people with super suits. There used to be like 4 or 5 Radiants and maybe a couple other people, but now I can't keep track of all these supersuited people are, and I'm not sure who's on what side, who's doing what. Like these two jumped out. I'm not exactly sure who they are. So it's like this issue I found very because the last story. This is the first issue in a story arc. Last story arc was about, like I said, there was this giant space war. But they also was an alternate Earth where the giant space war happened and Earth lost and everybody died. Except a couple of people from that alternate Earth came over to our Earth. And so it was this guy from the alternate Earth trying to hunt down Radiant Black because he blamed because the Radiant Black of his Earth lost and everybody died. So he was blaming Radiant Black of our Earth for that, and he wanted to wipe him out. But there's also now there's a subplot going on where there's a conspiracy people believe that there's a portal to the alternate world in a equivalent of a Dunkin' Donuts. So they're like sort of like the Pizzagate thing where that guy showed up at the pizza place. Well, these people are showing up at donut shops, this donut shop chain, and they're holding people hostage to try to find the door to the alternate world. And they also think that they're going to get replaced by an alternate world version of themselves. That's the conspiracy going on underneath. But meanwhile, that alternate world is wiped out. There is no, but there's a grain of truth to the crazy conspiracy. So there's so much craziness goes on, and I don't know how much law and order there is on this earth right now, or are like the people who are making these super suits and hiring people, like the corporations taking over. Are some of these people government? I'm really unsure about what's going on, but it is the first issue in this new story arc. So,
okay.
We'll have to see. What is it? Black Market Narrative? I don't know if that's the name of the story or not down there. Oh, also oversaturated comic.
Yep.
Bad production annoys me. Yeah, I don't think there's any story name, unless that's it on the back. Next New Horizon. What about this? I don't know. But this has been a solid series. Once again, I don't know if this is a series I'm ever going to go back and reread, but they'll sit here for now. Come on, go in there. Go in there. Any other comics for us?
I do have 3 left here.
You choose the edge to the opening theme. What do you got for us?
So I have issue number 24 of Transformers.
Robots in Disguise. Have you been reading that one?
I have not. I have not started this is the second storyline, I think. But opening of the page and they're right into the action.
Huh.
And then here's the credits page, and you can see is a light yellow on white for the rest of the indicia. And to my eyes, that's just like one whole white panel with speckles on it.
Yep.
But it's Daniel Warren Johnson is writing it. George Corna is the artist, and Mike Spicer is the colorist, and Russ Wooton is the letterer. So I have not caught up with it at all.
I haven't really heard anyone mention it in a while, but I know it always got good word of mouth. So I
Yeah,
assume
I
it will.
always there are always people talking about it, how good it is. And the few issues that I read, I really did enjoy because the Energon universe, I feel like they've been doing a good job with bringing things together uh, with it. Cool things going on.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, Tit Goblin asks a question here.
What does he have?
First of all, he's referring to Jared. I thought of another question along the lines of the app. He showed me earlier in the week. I guess it is LCS. Uh, a packet of the Age of Apocalypse books from the 90s. I think they said it was like 39 books or something. And on the label, it said out of print. And he was like, isn't every comic book out of print? And you never hear out of print in reference to individual issues of comic books.
Right.
Oh, and 62 says Transformers is Daniel Johnson's last issue is 24. Robert Kirkman starts with issue 25. What issue was that?
Oh, this was issue number 24.
Okay.
So it's the
So
closing of
Kirkman's,
this
I
storyline.
assume, with a new artist.
Yeah.
But I was like, that's a good question because you never see someone say, Deadpool or New Mutants 87 out of print. You'd see first printing, second printing, but I guess technically nowadays a single issue isn't out of print until all the printings of it because now we get first printing, second printings, third, just of individual comic books.
Right.
Or would you put out of print on like a batch of comic books because the collected edition is out of print?
That's what I'm thinking. Since he was talking about the Age of Apocalypse books,
Right.
they were in trade paperback, like everything else. But
Mm-hmm.
I would assume that trade paperbacks also has a print run.
Trade paperbacks do go out of print.
Right, because again, it's
As
like
well
you
as
can print them
hardcovers
as
and
many times
omnibuses.
as many times as they want to, and then they see, well, this last batch didn't sell. That's the printing's done for that. And then
So I think
eventually a nostalgia will bring it back because it's an anniversary, and then you could see a new print run being made for that.
a dealer would put out of print on the comic books probably because the collected edition is out of print. I would
Right,
imagine because I can't think of any other reason to because every individual issue from the 90s is out of print.
right,
So there'd be no need to note it. So I would guess that like the book itself is the collected edition is out of print. So he's trying to sell the comics by saying,
right.
hey, you can get this right here because
Because there's a
collected
scarcity,
edition's out of print.
yeah, or there's a perceived scarcity
Right.
of that particular thing.
Then he asks, what's the most reprinted comic story? And
I would
Eric
say,
P says, most reprinted Watchmen, just so
yes,
DC. I was thinking that too.
that's what I was thinking
I was
that
thinking, yeah, I was
that was.
thinking Bone maybe. I would think something like too, Amazing Fantasy 15
Yeah, those
has
milestone issues of Spider-Man, X-Men,
have been
Fantastic
reprinted a
Four,
lot of
been
times.
reprinted. Um, Bone, yeah.
Just
Teenage
as like
Mutant
an individual comic book, we're talking.
yeah. Individual comic book, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, #1.
Has that been
Uh,
reprinted a lot?
it's been reprinted quite a few times,
I don't remember
you
seeing
know,
it that
but I
much.
think they changed the formats of it because 'cause I've
Yeah.
seen it small, I've seen it digest,
Mhm.
usually an anniversary would pop out. Uh,
Like,
I
what Batman book would be the most reprinted? Killing Joke? That had a lot of printings at least.
Killing Joke, Dark Knight Returns,
Dark Knight Returns, that's been in print since
that's been in
the
print.
'80s.
Um, would you consider ElfQuest?
Hmm.
'Cause that feels like that's always been in print in some format
Yeah,
or another. Not necessarily individual issue, but those first 12 issues
right.
keeps popping up in different formats.
I think, isn't Dark Horse doing that right now? Some new hardcovers of it?
Think so.
That you're right, that could be up there.
That could be up there. First appearance of Superman,
Yeah, it's been reprinted a lot.
so that's been printed quite a few times and, in different formats. And what I mean by that, you could buy it with the first day stamp.
Yeah,
Because when the stamp came out to celebrate Superman, they
right.
printed that comic book as part of that. Um, there was the 50 cents version of it back in '88. Uh, so I think that's reprinted quite a few times. Um, Crisis on Infinite Earths. So I don't know what would be the most other than Watchmen for that.
Watchmen immediately comes to
Yeah,
mind.
Watchmen comes to mind mainly because of the fact of they want to keep it from Alan Moore.
Right.
Um,
You know what stuff got reprinted a lot? Underground comics.
oh yeah,
Like Zap Comics #1 or #0, whichever was the first, went through a lot of printings. They just used to reprint those whenever they sold out.
okay,
So like Zap Comics #1 has like 12 printings or something like that. Um, if Comic Crack were here, he could tell us.
right.
But I know those undergrounds used to have a lot of printing.
Walking Dead #1.
Well, oh, Walking Dead #1. How could we forget that?
Yeah, that had what 52 covers
That had
one
a
time, or
lot of
I
printing.
forget the number, but there was one of them that just had
Dark Knight for
issue one.
Batman. Calvin and Hobbes and Garfield, if we go into the paper stuff. Yeah. Garfield has been reprint. Yeah. If you, comic strip stuff, some of that stuff's been in print for 100 years.
Yeah, those are always in print.
But
Uh,
Walking Dead has more. Walking Dead might be the single most reprinted single issue. There are
right.
so many. Like, because they used to do Walking Dead #1 for cons.
Right.
Like each individual, your individual con could have a special Walking Dead #1.
The alternate
Matter of fact,
covers.
I have learned from buying these issues of Walking Dead. I could spend the rest of my life buying Walking Dead variants. There are so many Walking Dead variants. There's Walking Dead, the original one, and as it went on in years, there be like Walking Dead #10 doesn't have a ton of variants, but it does have Walking Dead #10, Walking Dead Weekly #10, uh, Walking Dead Deluxe. Now the color series they're putting out, each one has I think 3 covers at least. So there's
Right.
like 5 of Walking Dead #10, just a random issue I picked. Plus there's but as they went on, like Walking Dead 100 had a zillion covers. And then they would do special covers like for all the Walking Deads from 100 to 192 or whatever. So there's so many Walking Deads. If you wanted to collect every version of Walking Dead, you'd be there forever. Like I
Yeah.
said, because there's individual printings of it too. For like this Comic Con had their own printing of Walking Dead #1 or number whatever.
And if they did that for the cons, they probably did that for each of the stores.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
probably have their own individual covers.
Right now, I'm guessing if you wanted to, you could probably get collect 50 versions of Walking Dead #1. Just because it's been reprinted so many times. Dennis the Menace and other kids' comics from the 70s that just keep getting reprinted. Yeah, they're like all that comic strip stuff has been reprinted a few times, especially like Peanuts,
Yeah.
Garfield. Garfield without Garfield. Remember that one?
Yes.
That was good stuff. And the
Yes.
last comic I got this week, I haven't read yet since I only got my comics Thursday afternoon, which is issue 10 of Savage Sword. Scourge of the Serpent it's got a Mignola cover. Jim Zub and was it Doug Braithwaite? Jim Zub's the writer, Doug Braithwaite's the artist. I looked through it and liked it. I looked through it last week, but had enough comics already. This week I was like, okay. X-Men 50. This is for let's see. What single issue have a bunch of reprint? What single issue should have a bunch of reprints that it doesn't? X-Men 50. Is that the Steranko Lorna Dane cover? Is that who drew that? It's got that nice cover. Yeah, what X-Men 50? What issue should have reprints? I don't know. I never thought of that before. X-Men 50. Hulk 200, because that was my first comic that got me. Not that it was my first comic, that's where I started collecting comics. That's where I realized that comics had numbers on them and went in a row, because my neighbor had 201, 202, 203, and I had 200. So I traded him all the comics I had for those 4 comics and those 3 comics, and that's what started my collection.
X-Men 50 is correct. It is the Steranko cover, which is that all green and yellow.
Right.
Just hints of red on the cover.
That's a nice cover.
That is a nice cover.
I don't have that one, but I would buy that one just for the cover.
To buy an unslabbed copy for $34.88 on eBay.
Not bad.
And a slab copy for $7.5 for $541 at my comic shop. And a 9.6, $3,514.05. That is the second appearance of Polaris. And that one is a CGC edition. But it's a 9.6, not a 9.8. Sorry.
Tit Goblin says / Maraud. He's going obscure with us on a what's his name? Paul Gulacy miniseries. / Maraud.
/ Maraud. I don't even think I know that. Let's see what that.
There's no reason you would know it.
Okay.
Tit Goblin's just pulling series out of his butt.
Oh, you know what? I recognize the logo and the cover. That's a hot pink. That's for sure. I don't think I bought it, but I recall seeing it. EC comic. What year is this?
And I was reading the Tom Scioli, Jack Kirby comic biography this week. I've been reading it like a Sunday strip, couple pages at a time. And it made me realize something about World War II. Whereas Eric P. says, yes, is that the strength of book. The cover is great, but the interiors are also interesting. Okay. Because Jack Kirby went over to World War II, I think it was 1944, 10 days after D-Day. So he was there late in the war. And it's funny because, who was it? Jeff Sebesta. Once, I think that was who it was. I can't remember. I think it was him, was saying somebody must have really not liked Jack Kirby in the Army, because like Stan Lee was writing copy somewhere in the States. Joe Simon was doing posters for the Coast Guard. When you get someone as talented as an artist as talented as Jack Kirby, you usually put him to work. But he instead was in the infantry, and there was even at one point he was told he was like, and he would occasionally do portraits of the officers and their wives. That's what they put him to work doing, but not that was just in his spare time. And one guy even was like, Kirby, you can draw, right? And Kirby thought he was going to do more officers' portraits. And instead, he was like, I'm going to make you a scout, and you're going to go ahead and draw what you see. And Kirby was like, scout is the job they give you when they want you to die.
Uh-huh.
So he was not happy about that. And most of his stories, he's got some pretty horrible stories about guys dying next to him and stuff like that is in this book. But there's very little. Most war stories you hear are buddy stories.
Right.
Me and this guy and that guy, we were good buddies. We went out. Maybe someone died, and you'd be like, "Oh, then he died." But then it made me realize that. Have you ever heard of the Rebel Devil system?
No.
I learned this from reading a book about World War II. The best way to train an army is, and everybody knew this. This is how the U.S. Army was trained. Was you get a group of guys, you bring them through basic together. They're a unit. You eventually deploy them together. Maybe give them some officers with them some experience, hopefully. But your unit goes from boot camp to training to being deployed together.
Right.
And that's where you get all the buddy stories for, of course.
Right.
But near the end of World War II, the U.S. Army used what was called the Rebel Devil system, because we were in a war of attrition. And in a war of attrition, you want their guys to die faster than your guys. That's what a war of attrition is. You're just fighting and hopefully killing their guys faster than they kill your guys. So instead of bringing people up as groups, if this group of 10 guys lost someone, they'd stick a new guy in there, which is just the way you're not supposed to do it. And if you remember watching old war movies, there was always like the grizzled veterans didn't even want to know the name of the new guy.
Yeah.
Because they're like, that new guy is going to be dead in a few days anyway. So it's like they didn't even learn the name of that new guy. Kirby was the new guy. That's why he didn't have buddy stories, because he went into the war when the Rebel Devil system was around. So they probably just threw him in with a squad of guys who just lost somebody.
Right.
So he kept emphasizing in his war stories, he had no idea what he was doing. He was just there. They would tell him orders. He'd shoot at people. They'd shoot at him. One time he killed some guys with a knife because he had to. But it was like there's none of that buddy war stuff, probably because he didn't even know the guys he was along. So he was part of that Rebel Devil system.
Right.
And that's why they made him scout, because they didn't care. So that was an interesting. I never thought of that really. What it was like I only knew what it was like from one of those guys from the movies. But hearing Jack Kirby's war stories, I was like, you never hear these war stories.
Right.
You never hear. That's just it. It would be a good movie, but one that would never get made, where you follow these three guys with their squads through basic training all the way up to the war. And then they get all sent off to three different squads, and they all die within the first 3 days. I mean, that's a story that happened many, many times, but it's a story that's never been told because it's so depressing.
Yeah.
And it's, not good propaganda. So I'm like, that's who Jack Kirby was in the war. He was one of these guys who got sent in, had no clue what he was doing, and luckily survived it. And there were some near death experiences for Jack. It was pretty
Right.
interesting to think about as I was reading that, because it's like you never read like that point of view in a war story, because there was he barely he mentioned guys who died near him, but like I said, usually war stories are about you and your buddies,
Yeah.
that bonding experience of being in foxholes together. Nope. It looks like
Yeah.
62 Lefty Blues picked up that book Paolo was talking about, the one his friend did on Kirby. It was hilarious. I got a copy coming, and so does Wilson now.
Yep. I should have my copy next week.
Mm-hmm. Were you about to say something?
Yeah. So the last books that I have here,
What do you got?
I have Godzilla from IDW, issue number 2 of the newer series. I
Ah,
forget what the word in Japanese is, but
I
that
have.
is like this.
I forget too. I have seen
Yeah,
it.
because it does have a word for it. But so this is what they're calling the IDW Godzilla universe is under this branding. So it's basically everything that IDW has done with Godzilla is all within its own continuity compared to like
Uh-huh.
the legendary Godzilla, which is the continuity for the movie. And so the Godzilla that's over at DC Comics right now is from the legendary universe. And then the Godzilla that's in the Marvel universe is the Godzilla that's always been in the Marvel universe.
He's
So this is how
Trimpy
to tell.
Godzilla.
Yes. So it's that particular storylines that are going
I
there.
think that's what we should name him, Trimpy Godzilla.
Crimpy Godzilla.
Yeah.
And then the last book, also IDW, is Godzilla Here Be Aliens. And it has a great cover of the alien characters from the
Ah.
Godzilla universe. So you have uh actually looks like Mecha King Ghidorah. So you have King Ghidorah or Mecha King Ghidorah. You have Gigan, and then you have Mecha Godzilla, which in the original series was an alien creation.
Uh-huh.
And so these are technically the alien monsters in the Godzilla universe. And it has a nice opening, a universal kind of opening, news flash, invasion.
Invasion.
So it looks like it's a movie newsreel, and it is showing a whole bunch of the kaiju monsters that are from outer space attacking. And I think I saw an image of Space Godzilla in there. Looks like they're really taking over the monsters from the Toho universe.
Uh-huh.
And of course, the various covers.
Have you been keeping up with reading the Godzillas?
I've been trying to. So most of them are fairly straight off typical monster movie type stories. So I've been enjoying them because of that, but nothing that's overarching. Um, but I pick up almost all the IDW Godzillas. I haven't finished. I haven't even started Dead Zone, but I did pick that one up. That's the next issue. So when I do read them, I do enjoy them.
Cool.
And those are all my books that I picked up this week.
Uh, well, I'm going to show you something new I got this week. And by I mean, and when I say I got, I mean when I walked 20 feet out into the garage to look through some of Jerry's books to give away to my students, found a few things that I was going to keep for myself, which are Brian Boland Tank Girl covers.
Oh, really?
Got a few. I mean, these are beautiful.
Oh, yeah. I remember when those came out.
And it got me thinking about Brian Boland. First, I'll show you these. Absolutely wonderful covers. I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to start a Brian Boland cover collection because I got these Brian Boland covers. And there's probably some more out there in the DC stuff. This one's great. That's a terrific cover.
Yeah.
Another good one right here. But it got me thinking about Brian Boland. And when are these from, too? Let me see. Is there a year on them? I think these are from the early 90s.
I think 94.
Let me look at. I don't see a year. Oh, no, June 95, that one is. There is a year. I thought there was. And February 96. But it got me thinking about Brian Boland and why there are no Brian Boland imitators. Like, I was comparing him in my mind to Adam Hughes. Another cover comic book guy, a guy who draws a lot of comics from the same era. It's pronounced Bolland and not Boland. That's the second L. Is it pronounced Bolland? Those Tank Girls are good, and if I remember correctly. So it's Brian Bolland, not Brian Boland. Without Paolo here, I'm not sure if I'm believing you. He knows what these letters are for. Brian Bolland. Okay. But I was thinking about why there aren't any Brian Bolland imitators. Me, like I said, I would put like Adam Hughes in the same category, sort of talented cover artists from the same era who are still around doing stuff. But there's endless Adam Hughes imitators. How many times have you looked at a current comic and gone, is that an Adam Hughes cover? And it's someone else.
Right.
And I think it came down, like, when you think of a Brian Bolland cover, what do you think of? How would you describe his artwork?
I don't know if I can describe it because I think of him. I always think of Tank Girl first,
right?
Because I think those were the striking covers that I remember really paying attention to his work back then.
Right.
Being that he's one of those British artists, they usually always have a clone somewhere out there. So it's like, yeah, he doesn't have any.
There's no Brian Bolland clones. Let's see. SBPT says, good evening, Professor J and Professor W. Good evening, SB.
Good evening.
62 Lefty Blue said, wouldn't Art Adams be a Bolland-ish? No. Type art. That's just it. Very detailed. That's what you said right there. That makes sense to me. If you were to say, if I were to describe like Brian Bolland, what about Jamie Hewlett? I vaguely know him, but I wouldn't say he does the insides on this, right? I don't know if I'd call him a Bolland imitator. Let's see. Let me look. No, he's much more graphic designy.
Yeah.
If I remembered, he was more of a Chris Bacalo type. But if you were to ask me to describe, everyone wants to draw cheesecake like Adam Hughes, Linsner, and Frank Cho. Yep. Bolland covers look so 3D, they really pop out. I wish I could track him down to do commission a cover. Dodson to you. Dodson draws a lot like Adam Hughes, definitely. But he can draw really well, too.
I think the difference of it, too, is like he said, cheesecake, where Brian doesn't do cheesecake. He's doing graphic images with a lot of detail, but very thought out designs to the cover where when you look at his covers, there's a story being told, I think, with the covers.
But here's what I think is different between Bolland, what I thought of Bolland, and what I think when I actually see it. Recent Godzilla posters and covers seem Bolland. Okay. Uh, Brian definitely has cheesecake in his own book. Oh yeah, he definitely he goes cheesecake at times. But the first thing is the way he draws, there is way less detail than I thought. He uses a single weight line. Let me show you this one. Like, there's not much detail in her face. He uses not much line weight, but he's so good. Like, there's not a ton of detail really in these books. I mean, he draws everything crisply. But usually in comic books, when we think of detail, we think of tons of little lines. But that's not his type of detail. He draws things well in as few lines as possible. Like, let's look at Tank Girl's face on this one. Like, the hair, you could call that detail, but it's really just, nearly parallel lines. And that Band-Aid, you could call that detail, but it's really just drawn in a few lines. And look at her nose there.
Yeah. Then
Really,
this
he uses way fewer lines than I imagined when I was like, I mean, there's a lot of lines in that hair. He draws lots of strands, but there's no real detail to them. He puts some texture in that. So, like, those glasses are drawn perfectly, but there's no real detail in them. And even his color is very, very simple. It's just one tone. It almost reminds me of, what's Alex Schomburg using airbrush, but very little, just like a dark into a light.
Yeah.
Not tons of color theory in the color, not dappling. His he's first of all, the number one thing I think he's good at is imagery. He's real, like, this is a beautiful image. It's just a woman's face, but it's interesting.
Right.
This image of her on the couch with well thought out. He is so good at imagery. Like, if you were going to copy Adam Hughes, you could just have a sexy woman standing there, or draw a sexy woman from a photo. But with him, if you were to copy Brian Bolland, part of what you have to copy are his layouts, are his imagery. Like,
Right.
it's not easy to draw that face with the cigarette, get that expression and those teeth and the hair and the weird guy behind him. Like, look at the expression on Tank Girl's face here. That's not easy to capture, especially in so few lines. And he really uses way fewer lines than I remember in my mind.
The only one that I can compare that to then, especially when we zoom into being that is a single line weight type of thing, is
Mm-hmm.
Michael Golden.
Michael Golden, sort of, but Michael Golden's more graphic designy still. He uses
Yes.
a lot of line weight. He used black and white a lot, and I would say, and Golden influenced everyone too. So
Yeah.
people could, and I think part of it is, like, I was also looking through. I have this cover run Adam Hughes book, and Adam Hughes uses a lot of technique. And what I mean by that is, let me show you a couple of things. The eyes are usually lots of lashes around the eyes. The hair is big. Let me see if I can find something that has a lot of. There we go. He uses this, rubber technique a lot for Catwoman with darks and lights. Uh, where's one? His his color, though this one is monochrome. His color is usually complex, but he uses a rim lighting, dark to light technique. There's one that's here. He often blends together like she has got no chin line. He's blending together a lot of the flesh with just a little bit of not black outline, but dark brown outline. See how the eyes are once again lots and lots of lashes,
Right.
lips very lush, big hair and big chunks. Um, Once again, there's a good example of his color where he goes from dark to light, and he's got that rim lighting on both sides, and he's uh, he uses techniques that you can copy. So I'm not, it's not about being better or worse than Brian Bolland. It's about there's more Adam Hughes imitators because he's easier to copy. Because you can copy some of his techniques. I mean, you have to be really talented to do a really good Adam Hughes.
Right.
But we've seen plenty of mediocre Adam Hughes, like imitators. Um, so it's but Brian Bolland has no technique. His technique is so simple, but it depends on being able to choose that one right line. And
Yeah.
anybody who's done sketches knows that the reason you do sketches is you're searching for that one perfect line. And he can find it
Right.
like every time. And his coloring is the same way. It's incredibly simple, but so effective. So you have to be able to, so he doesn't really have a technique you can copy. Adam Hughes has a technique you can copy. You can go over and say, oh, Adam Hughes does eyes like this. I can do eyes like this. Oh, Adam Hughes does hair like this. Oh, I can do hair like this. Oh, Adam Hughes does hips like this. I can do hips like this. But Brian Bolland, like I said, first of all, depends on having a big imagination to make an image. The difference between image making and doing a drawing is how striking the visual is. Like one of the hardest things about drawing Batman covers is that there's a million Batman covers. So one of the reasons that Jock's Joker cover with the bats making, you remember that one that all the bats are flying off the Joker's head and then they're forming
Yeah.
the Joker kind of? That was a great image. Done well too, but everybody's responding to the image. And Adam Hughes is pretty good at images too, but he's also really good at technique. And you can copy. If you want to copy Bolland, you got to his technique is nearly impossible for the rest of us because it depends upon his drawing knowledge.
Right.
And creating imagery like him, you just can't do because that's a singular thing. So I
Yeah.
found that really interesting as I was looking at him.
As I look at like a bunch of his covers, the thing that I think what his technique may be, if we were to use that kind of a format of
Right.
storytelling, is that he is drawing covers that look similar to like the 1930s and 20 male magazine covers.
There's some of that in his coloring.
Yeah. And I think layout wise is that there's again, it comes down to the storytelling of what's on that cover. The
Right.
tank girl one, she's sitting with her companion,
These are especially good ones.
and they're good because of that. He's also not afraid to either do extreme close-ups and then cut the faces in certain parts, type of thing. Other artists will put, try to put the whole head in there,
Yeah.
where he's okay with cutting off side of the
Right.
head or part of the ear or something like that, where you normally don't do. So I think he's thinking more like a photographer.
He can do the whole head. He can do part of the head. I don't know if he uses photo reference, but I think he
Right.
does. But just like this expression
Yeah.
of with the
It's
cigarette up on her lip, I think you have to observe that.
yeah.
That has to be done through observation, whether it's photos or model or whatever. You have to observe that,
And then
and
there's a
it's just amazing.
cartooniness to it as well because, uh, when you look at the lips and stuff like that, there's a cartoonish to it, where
Yeah,
there's a bit of exaggeration, not too much, but just enough to go, "Oh, someone may be able to make that face, but not really. The
right.
lips are too
It
wide."
There's a sense
But
of reality to them
yes.
that we think he gets through detail, but it's not really detail of drawing, it's detail of observation. He uses very few lines, but he uses the exact right ones. And
Yes.
we know how hard that is. That's really, which is why there's not a lot of Brian Bolland imitators. Let's see. I don't know. Will Wonder Woman run of Bolland covers is pretty hot. Yeah, he
Oh,
does.
yeah, he does hot women, and
He
I'm not
does,
saying he
but not like Adam Hughes almost exclusively is copied for his hot women. Nobody cares about Adam Hughes's dudes on the covers. They just don't.
right.
I mean, that's
And I
just the way
think
it is.
with Adam, he's drawing cute
Yeah,
women, and not to say Brian's women aren't cute or anything like that, but Brian's has that more realistic but cartoony look to them.
right.
Like, I could almost say that he's not afraid to draw ugly characters,
Mhm.
but I hate to use the word ugly because still his Wonder Woman is still beautiful,
Right.
but there's more realistic to it.
I I think there's more realistic may not even be the right word,
Ma-
but there's more
right.
like observation from life in it.
Yes.
Like an Adam Hughes character only exists in, even if it's photo referenced, it only exists in an Adam Hughes drawing because he layers so much technique on top of it.
Right.
Adam Hughes has just got so many good techniques to make a good piece. Well, like you can people can imitate those techniques. Once again, you still have to know how to draw, which is why Terry Dodson may look like an Adam Hughes imitator, but he can draw his ass off. So it's a little different than the guys who just kind of figure out a few of the Adam Hughes techniques and apply it to their own drawing.
Right.
I would call it refined cartoony. There's some of that to it. Um, and I never thought this before. Going all the way back to the old guys, the old comic strip guys in the original sort of comic book guys, there was always two schools. There was the Milton Caniff school of cartoon realism and the Hal Foster school of realism.
Right.
Those were like the two biggest influences. Like, John Romita was a big Milton Caniff guy. Guys like Neil Adams would be the Hal Foster guys. I think Brian Bolland would be a Milton Caniff guy if you were to say one or the other.
Right.
Um, because he's more cartoon realism than, I don't know, superhero realism. Let's see. The Art of Brian Bolland has a chapter dedicated to his otherwise unseen cheesecake. It's sung. I think I have an Art of Brian Bolland book, I think. I'll have to look for that. Sinfully awesome. I think more people remember Bolland from The Killing Joke. I forgot about Tank. Oh yeah, I think that's definitely his most famous piece. Especially that cover. I never liked that cover on The Killing Joke, only because as a photographer, I have seen 1,000 photos just like that.
Right.
I've made my own share of it. There's always a photo of you taking a picture of another photographer as his or her camera's in front of their face. That's like a cliche photograph.
Yep.
It is not a cliche comic book cover, which is why most people love it. But that was never my favorite Brian Ball. He let me down with that image making, but I can see why. I mean, it fits it perfectly. I mean, I don't really have a problem with it, except it's not my favorite. I really loved his Camelot 3000. The Morgan Le Fay cover is amazing. So much good stuff. He must use models and then cartoon them down so the complexity of the body language remains, but he knows what detail to get rid of or cartoon up. Yeah, that sounds about like how I describe his process. Because, like I said, he can find that one that there is so little detail in these Tank Girl covers that it kind of shocked me, because I always think of him as one of the detail guys, but it's really his observation that is detailed rather than his drawing.
Yeah, he makes the right choices of which
Oh,
lines to use,
right down to the
you know?
sleepy eyelids.
Yeah.
The sleepy eyelids on Tank Girl in that one. Like, not big lashes like all the Adam Hughes imitators did. Eric P. Michael Goldman is a good call. I was thinking of his cover of G.I. Joe, Real American Hero #3 being like those Tank Girl covers. I just think of Michael, maybe for his later stuff, being a little more graphic designy. He likes to pick black shapes. He's picking lines more than black shapes. There's still some, there's shadows in it, but he doesn't pick. I think Michael Goldman picks more black shapes than lines.
And then also thinking about, like, his Animal Man covers where 'cause some yeah, he
Oh
knows
yeah.
anatomy. With Animal Man, the cover to issue number 10 where he's turning into ribbons.
Uh huh.
You can see a detailed skeleton there,
Ah.
and it's the correct skeleton. So he knows the anatomy, and he knows what lines that really sells the image without having to do the black and whites.
Yep.
Picking a solid black solid. He has he's not afraid of the line.
Right.
There's no fear of the line he puts down.
He gets the exact one he wants, and
Yeah.
that's it. He's there. And Bolland knows anatomy, but so does Adam Hughes. The only differences I'm saying is that you can you can take some of Adam Hughes's technique and layer it over your bad anatomy and end up with a bad Adam Hughes imitation. There's nothing you can't since Bolland's technique is all observation and the technique itself is simple. There's nothing you can take and like lay it over your bad anatomy, and someone will say, "Oh, that's a Brian Bolland clone." You can take Adam Hughes's techniques and layer them over your good anatomy too, of course. But that's I think the difference. And I never thought of that. I never thought of that before. That Brian Bolland's technique you can't really copy, because also like that part of his technique is his imagery. He comes up with memorable images. Wilson, look at Wonder Woman's second series, 63 through 100. I think I have some of those in Jerry's comics I got that have, by the way, been sitting in my garage for 5 years.
Uh-huh.
I love Bolland's invisible covers. Yeah. And also Bolland, like Adam Hughes's techniques really only apply to sexy women. He can certainly draw men the same exact way, but nobody cares. His same knowledge of anatomy and the color is there, but nobody cares because he doesn't have like Bolland's level of image making. He's still a good image maker. I don't want to. This isn't to put down Adam Hughes because I put him in the same category. I'm just comparing and contrasting them. So don't think I'm putting down Adam Hughes at all. Love his work. I think he's got some great. I've got a book of his covers. So Am I confusing Foster with Alex Raymond? I might be. Alex Raymond is the so it's yeah. I like I said, I can't remember right now. So it's the Alex Raymond School and the Milton Caniff School. Okay, thanks for correcting me. I wasn't sure if I got Foster was a Raymond came after Raymond. I think then that's how it was. Said I'm not. I haven't read about. I haven't read about those guys in a while, but yeah, okay. I'm confusing Foster with Raymond. That could very well be true. P. Craig Russell is kind of Bolland-esque. I can see what you mean, but once again, Craig Russell once again knows how to draw.
Yeah.
I can see what you mean too, because his technique his technique depends upon observation, but I think also if I were to is a little more fantastical. A little, I think Bolland is a little more grounded in reality, even though these are not,
Yeah.
these are fantasy. Then P. Craig Russell is one of my favorites, though. But I'm really comparing cover artists, and Craig Russell is an interior guy as well as cover art. But I have just about everything Craig Russell's done. He's one of my favorites. Love his Beauty Without the Beloved is like a sword through the heart. I still remember that name of his story in Epic Comics #2, which made me a Craig Russell fan for life. I had seen Craig Russell's stuff before in like War of the Worlds, and I liked it. But that story the art in Epic Comics #2 blew me away. I think that came out in 1980. I was 14 years old. Whew. Alex Toth is a master. He completely different. Once again, Alex Toth, you cannot copy Alex Toth's style. Because it's so much dependent on observation, and as you say here, the ability to take it down to a simplest form and still convey the shape.
Yeah.
You cannot. You can try to copy. If you try to copy Alex Toth, no one will know you're trying to copy Alex Toth because you won't be able to do it. Let's see. 60. I loved Hughes drawing the comic Ghost. Oh yeah, and Maze Agency, and of course Penthouse Comics. I love Hughes's covers on Ghost. Like I bought some of them just like when he wasn't even drawing it. I have a couple in my collection just for those covers. The terrific stuff. The Captain Finity, the fantasy subject matter works because the style is grounded in reality. That's right. That's right. The style is so grounded, not just reality, observation of reality. So it's kind of like he can draw the craziest thing, but which is why sometimes like the drawing of that goofy character is fine,
Yeah.
but not as enchanting as the tank girl's face. Nothing wrong with that drawing, but since it's not as grounded in his really brilliant observations of reality, it's not as interesting, I think. Same rule applies to writing, kind of, sort of. Yeah, there's writers who write from reality, I would guess. I would love to commission Hughes to do a picture of Ghost fighting alongside Moon Knight. That could be interesting. Probably have to pay him a lot of money these days.
Oh yeah.
That was just me contemplating Brian Bolland and Adam Hughes this week. Just because I walked 20 feet out to my garage and discovered I had these. Because my friend Jerry, right at the beginning of COVID, was moving apartments and says, "Do you want these comics? Otherwise, I have to throw them out." And I went, "Oh, I don't want them." And they've been sitting there for over 5 years with me going, I gotta. So like this week, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go into one of those boxes and give my students some.
There you go. There's your new YouTube sub show, Jerry's Comics. What's
Jerry's
in this
Comics.
box? What is in this box?
And I did find 2 copies of Mobius Memories.
Really?
which is a book an epic book that was made at Marvel. I have my own copy all these years. It's like $100 book, I think. Um, but yeah, it was. I was like, oh, there's 2 copies of this in here. I got to put these on my shelf. I'll either give them away or sell them, I guess. But I don't feel like selling anything. But they're $100 a piece. People want for them on eBay. Hold on, I got to see. I once again, I was obsessed. I shouldn't say obsessed. I was bidding on these Walking Dead comics for no reason. There were, well, I need a couple of them, but they were being sold as a pair. Issue 7 and 8, both CGC 9.8s, and issue 8 and 9, both CGC 9.8. Like I said before, those are the copies everyone wants. They go for big money.
Right.
But I was bidding on them this week just for the hell of it. Matter of fact, before I got on the show, I was like, let me bid on them one last time. Now I know these are going to go. I think my upper bid on both of them, I think, was like $175. And I was outbid.
Yeah.
Because they're 9.8s of early issue, blah, blah, blah. So now I just got an email that they're over. So I have to see how much they go for. Let me get it'll be easy to look at on my iPad to let you know how much. Like I said, I bid 170. I expected them to go for like $400.
Right.
I don't even know. Let's see what the final price of these Walking Deads is. The downloading. Got away. Walking Dead number. Let's see. No. Show it to me. Load all images. Walking Dead 9 and 10. CGC 9.8. Only $214. I expected more than that. My estimates for raw copies. Let's see where do I have 9 and 10? My estimates for raw copies were around $40 a piece. 10.
Right.
So 214 is lower than I thought. I've thought that since there were 9/8, it's not a terrible price. Not that I was going to pay 214 for them. Let's see. 7 and 8 should have gone for more because they're earlier issues. 221. And my estimates for 7 and 8 raw copies, 775, 835. So those were actually, I think, low prices for those ones. Probably because they were in a group, in a pair.
Yeah.
I don't know why the person sold them in pairs. I think they could have got even more money for them individually. So, $110, $105 with shipping and tax, $110, $15 a piece. That's not outrageous. Not what I want to pay when I want to pay $40.
Yeah.
I always think of Jamie Hewlett on Tank Girl. Yeah, I don't think of Tank Girl at all. Oh, how about the Frazetta Conan painting that sold for $10 million today? Wow. That is big money. I guess, there's some Frazetta fans who are all grown up and have millions and millions of dollars.
I
Because,
I almost had a Frazetta piece
yeah.
because again, doing so many conventions, and Franzetta's daughter was selling a bunch of stuff at a con, and they were affordable in the sense of, there was like stuff from, I guess, a sketchbook.
Oh, yeah.
There were pieces of illustrations here and there, and I almost bought a gorilla piece
Ah.
because I was drawing the Tarzan sketch cards at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like, so I was, mentally into gorillas and animals for Tarzan because I was doing the Tarzan 100 anniversary card set. for Cryptozoic. And so we were at a convention, me and my buddy, and they were like, oh, we were going through all this artwork that his daughter had from Frenzetta, and we kind of made the joke about, yeah, I wish, this would be great, but I can't afford this. And she's like, well, I do have affordable pieces. And I was like, what do you consider affordable? And she took out a different booklet, and it's like you could look at it and tell, oh, this is Franzetta art. But it was stuff that would be like just extra things that were like scrap papers. That
Right.
was he was compositing something or what have you. And I didn't pull the trigger on getting one because at the time it was like, yes, it was affordable, but it was not affordable for me at that point in time. But
Right.
it's like, yeah, these are really nice pieces.
Wish I could
Just
go
to be
back
able,
in time and give myself a few bucks.
yeah, exactly, because it's like, these are pencil pieces. They're the sketchy stuff, But as a comic book artist, I'm fine with a sketch of Franzetta. It doesn't have to be a painting, but it was like, but it's a Franzetta piece of artwork, and it was like in my mind, it's like, oh, if I was to get that, and it was a tiny piece, no more than 5 by 7, but I would have found the gaudiest gold frame to put it in. That would have been at least 5 inches deep, just to put a Franzetta piece in it. But again, it's like it is funny how not funny, but it's amazing what these things go for. And holding pieces of artwork. I've held artwork that end up selling, for thousands. I don't know if I held something that eventually sold for 1 million. I may have, because
Yeah.
I've held, McFarlane art, Jim Lee artwork, Kirby stuff.
Alex Ross.
Yeah, Alex Ross. Yeah, all those Alex Ross covers. I've held them, almost all of them. So yeah, it's amazing to think about, what these things are now worth.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Our friend Ed has a Frazetta piece that he got a couple of years ago. Once again, a small sketch sort of thing.
Right.
It's probably 3 by 4 inches. I can't even remember what it was of, but he got it in a lot of. There's maybe 4 or 5 pieces, all like small sketches of various artists. And I forget who the artists were, like old time guys from the 60s. Was Roy Krenkel one of them? Maybe like, a Dick Ayers or Joe Sinnott. And there was a little sketch in there that wasn't labeled. And he recognized it from a Frazetta book of Frazetta
Ah.
sketches.
Uh-huh.
So he bought the lot for fairly cheap, $100 or $2, whatever it was, way less than if it had been labeled a Frazetta. He was really happy about that one.
That's definitely understandable, to be
Yeah.
able to find something and be able to recognize who the artist is, to get that.
Wilson, Frank Cho can draw the hell out of some apes.
He
Oh, yeah.
can, that very much so.
Frank Cho can draw a hell out of a lot of stuff, but don't buy his ballpoint pen drawings. Ballpoint pen ink is fugitive.
Oh, okay.
He does these really nice ballpoint pen drawings. But it's like, that stuff's going to disappear in a few years. Donald Rex says, I just bought 40 silver bronze Harvey comics at $1.80 each. That is my speed. There you go. There you go. Me buying these Walking Deads is the most I've spent in back issues in my life. I never buy back issues. I just don't.
Right.
And I certainly don't buy expensive back issues. And, $25 to me is expensive. $100 is like super expensive. So this is the first time I have ever done this. But I can see how people like. I've never had. I'm a poor artist. I have never had a lot of money. You know the deal.
Yeah. Yep. I'm right there with you.
You know the deal.
I know.
You worked for Marvel too. You didn't get
Yeah.
rich.
Yep.
You're a freelancer. You're not getting rich that way.
Not at all.
But I can. So I've never spent above my means. Just haven't. I know how not. I know really well how not to spend money. I know, being a freelancer, I know how to save my money for when the money's not coming in.
Right.
I turned 59 this summer. I've been doing this for a lot of years. But buying these Walking Deads, I can see how people get into credit card trouble.
Yes.
Not that I'm in any trouble. Got the money to pay off my credit card when I buy these. I'm okay. But you just start going, what's another $20? What's another $40? What's another $20?
Yes. You
So
can.
it's kind of like,
It
uh-oh,
it builds up quickly before you realize it. Yeah.
crazy. I
Yeah. I
don't
tend
know
to
how
be.
much. I don't know how much I've been using my battery today, but I just got a warning that my battery is about to shut off. So I better
Oh,
plug this in. This is only the second time I've gotten that warning. Oh, that's right. All afternoon I was writing my teaching philosophy, my statement of intent, my all that stuff for I have to. So that's why I forgot I'd been writing all afternoon
mhm.
on the laptop. So we'll stop that from going off. Yeah, but like I said, I can see how I just keep wanting to hit that. Oh, well, maybe this. Maybe that. What's another 10? What's another 50? What's another? And I know it all builds up at the end. Like I said, I'm fine. I got the money. I'm going to pay it off at the when my credit card bill comes. But like I said, I can see how people get into trouble.
Completely, completely. I can see that. I see it in myself when I'm, revisiting the Toy Biz toys. And it's like, yes, I know the prices that I can get for them to buy them, but I try to stay within this level where
Right.
it's like, you know, you learn patience really quickly, where it's
Yeah.
like, okay, if I'm not going to get this lot, I could wait and then end up finding the same thing a lot later for a lot less because you can easily fall into there it is. I could get it right now, but it's like, let me hold on and then end up finding it so much less in a bigger batch of stuff, kind of more bang for your buck. But the addicting nature that
Yeah.
the internet can give you,
Send me this.
so
Send me
yeah,
this. Send
uh,
me this.
yep, it is so easy to fall into that.
No
And then
money out of my pocket. No.
yeah,
No money out of my
because
pocket.
in a
No
way,
money out
money
of my
doesn't
pocket.
exist because you're not physically holding it.
Yeah.
That's the other problem that you can easily fall into those kind of traps.
Though the one thing that kills me when I first started buying these, well, he did what, a month ago, month and a half ago, whenever it was.
Right.
That within the first few days, there were 3 batches from like 20 to 30, 30 to 40, and 40 to 50, which I needed. I was like, I don't want to spend. They were like $75 a batch, good price.
Right.
I find out now, maybe $10 a book. I was like, well, I'll get one of them now. I forget which one I got. I think I got 30 to 40 for some reason because that was the cheapest. And then, of course, nearly immediately, the other 2 were sold. And those actually would have been my best options. Like this
Right.
whole time I've been buying, I was like, how crazy is it that if I'd spent all that money on the first day, it would have been cheaper? Because I'm like, be patient, wait. There'll always be deals, but like the best deal was on the first day, and I only
Right.
took one out of the third. It's like, what? That's not supposed to happen. Donald Rex says, I've given up new comics for romance, horror, and funny back issue. You're a back issue collector now. I'm always a new issue collector. You're a back issue collector. Addicting is addicting. Yeah.
Yes, very
It's
much so.
not to, and habit. I wouldn't even say it's addicting. Is it could be habit forming too. I mean, habit is
Yeah.
can be as rough as almost as rough as addiction. I wait
Yep.
until the last second and bid my max. I'd give about 1 in 10 lot. I don't even. I prefer buy it now or to make a deal, but I put my best price in and go to bed.
Yeah.
I blame Earl Grey for the love of comics and comic crafts room tour videos. FOMO is real. It sure is.
Yeah, FOMO is real. I sometimes find myself just stop watching toy videos when someone's showing their when they're showing their toy room, and I sit there and I'm watching it, I'm looking, and it's like I feel like I have too many things already. And then you see
Hey,
someone else's collection and go, "Oh wow,
I don't have
wait,
enough.
I don't have enough of it." It's like, no, it's like I don't have the room. And then someone shows their tiny room, and it's like, oh, look how it was. It's the uh how he created space with all the shelving, and it's like, oh, that's how you even collect even more. It's like, no, I got to shut this off. This is going to take me down the wrong path. I want to get rid of some stuff.
Sometimes I watch your TikTok videos and go, huh, I should get a new toy. And I don't even collect toys.
Right.
I have a few around, but I don't even collect them. That's amazing. If I were to count the toys I can see right now, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 20, 28 like action figures surrounding me right now. And I don't even collect toys. So it's like
I could
amazing. It's
I
like,
could probably say that I have 28 toys if I just put my hand here.
yes, I know.
You know, so
But it's amazing that I have 28 of them and I don't even collect them. I mean, 28 toys would be a good starter collection.
yeah, definitely, completely. But again, it's like one of those things is that, and I hate even that we use the word collection because collection makes it think like you're going to a goal. You thought this out.
And also, as my friend said, if you don't know what you have and can find it, you don't have a collection. You've got an accumulation.
Yes, very much so.
Tit
I'm
Goblin
looking at
says, not having debt is a great way to never compile major debt. Because if you already have a ton of debt, what's more? But if you're constantly trying not to get into debt, you'll never cross the line. Hopefully. Oh, yeah. I hate being poverty line poor, but it's the only thing keeping me from massive debt. Meanwhile, rich people live off of debt, but that's a whole other story.
That's a whole completely other story, a completely other education that we didn't get. So,
Yes.
that's the problem with it. And as you mentioned before, we were talking about prices of these things, is that, yeah, I don't want to get into debt or any more debt. And at the same time, it's like feel like when I'm buying something that's not work related, I could say that it's like, "Oh, I think that's too much. I could get less. I can find it for less somewhere else," kind of a thing. So
Mhm.
I hold off. And then but like something that is more work related, art related, I'm okay for paying like an overpriced item for art tools. Where it's like, if I buy this online, I could save a whole lot more, but I need to use this now. So I end up overpaying for art supplies in some
Right.
cases because I'm at this store, I have it in my hands, I know I shouldn't buy it here because this
Yeah.
is just way too overpriced.
Right.
Never buy art supplies at the school an art
Right.
school that sells art supplies. You should never buy it
To a
there,
captive audience.
but you're a captive audience, and
You're
I've paid.
young, you don't know.
Exactly. Where it's like, oh, you know what? I should have walked to a Staples and probably find the same thing for $10 where they're selling it at the art store for like $30. That type
Mhm.
of thing. So, but I've done that as well. And it's like, but that mentally, it's like I don't feel like I'm spending too much money because I need to
Right.
use this for work.
Because you need it.
because you need it and you need it now, kind of a thing.
Right.
Where, oh, if I'm buying a comic book, ooh, $50, that seems to be steep.
Ooh.
I want to get it for 40. My rules used to be never over $20
Yep.
for a back issue,
But that
and
was the 90s.
I kept that very well for the 90s.
Huh.
And then slowly it crept. So now my new number is 40, but I really hate getting it at 40.
Tit Goblin says, I never consider art supplies a regret. I guess I should, but it's not mentally not a worry. That's because you're not an art student. Buying the art supplies in New York City to the from the store that's next to the school.
Yeah,
Oh, they're the most expensive art supplies in the world.
completely. Last time I bought anything was at the Art Student League, and it was like, oh, oh, that hurt. That hurt a lot. But it was like, but again, there's that weirdness. It's like, well, this is art supplies,
Yeah,
so
you need it.
it is what I pay, for it.
Right. Donald Rex says, no debt, own my own car and condo.
Very
Live
nice.
on SSI and still buy comic book back issues. LOL. Yeah, you got to budget for them.
Yeah, that's it. Budget and the whole time thing.
All right, we should say good evening. And next week, Paolo should be back with us. We'll
Excellent.
probably be over on his channel. Some lasers for you, all the fun stuff.
Yeah,
So we've had a good time, as always, with
definitely.
everyone out there. Going in a deep dive analysis of Brian Bolland and Adam Hughes.
Yeah, very much so. I need to go look at more of Brian's artwork. Those I know I have all those
Yes,
Tank Girls.
you've
I
got to.
know I have them all. But
But there,
again,
it's there in the accumulation somewhere.
exactly.
All right, so everybody have a good week.
Take care.
I'll catch you next time. Dun dun dun.